Make myself. Hello and welcome to Bounding Live. My name is John Trent. I'm the editor-in-chief at Bounding into Comics, and I'm joined by my co-host Spencer Bakuli. How are you doing today?
Tonight? I'm doing pretty well tonight. Ready for the stream. Excited to talk to you. How about you? How's life being the new dad?
I mean, it's been up. So as a new dad, it's been great. I did have a pretty rough experience on Saturday. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but you asked, so
I prompted it. Yeah.
It up. My dog. We had to put my dog down.
Oh wow.
After 9 years, we took her to the vet. They found a obstruction. And then we got transferred to an animal hospital where they did an ultrasound, and they believed that her stomach was septic, that it was going to cost a lot of money in order to do a surgery that only had a 50% chance of survival. And then on top of that, you have all of the recovery and all of that. And we made the tough decision put her to sleep. So that was just that was really rough. I bawled my eyes out.
The best advice I can give in situations like this, because I've been there, is just know that your dog loved you and you gave it a great life.
Yeah, I know. She did. It was so hard because you could see that she's suffering. She had lost 10 pounds.
Oh no.
Because she had stopped eating for a couple days. We thought she had turned the corner, but she went back. She stopped eating again.
Poor girl.
But it was just it was horrible. It sucked.
It's rough. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just bawled my eyes out. It was rough. All right, so let's try and move on from that though. So we got a bunch of folks in the chat. We've got Lopter, Demon King of Inferno. Father Christopher Miller is going to be throwing some holy water on him. The Nerd Father, I got a stream with him this weekend. That was actually a really fun stream. I really enjoyed that. I think we're going to be doing that once a month on Father Christopher Miller's channel. So definitely want to check that out. It's kind of a faith and nerd chat where we talked about a lot about our faith, and then we also talked about our interests in comic books and video games and whatnot. So I really enjoyed that chat.
I had no idea you were on there. I'm gonna definitely check that out next time.
Yeah, it was the first time we did that. I think we're gonna be doing it once a month. Was on there with Father Christopher Miller, with Odin's movie blog, myself. There was a guy named Jason, and another. We were joined by Mrs. Martin, I think, as well. So that was a good, really fun time. But obviously we have Mark Lasserth, Don Edmonds, Dolphi is here with us, Nano Reaper. Who else do we got here? Vigilante Williamson is also with us, and Mark 63366 as well. So thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate you guys.
Deviant Porg's here too. Shout out to my boy Deviant Porg.
Deviant Porg. There he is. I skipped over you. Yep, you're up at the top. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to start out the show as we always do. We're going to be going around the horn, although the horn is a little smaller than normal.
It's a very small horn
today. So we'll start with you, Spencer. Kind of what you have been watching, reading, playing that's been interesting to you that you recommend, or maybe something you checked out and you thought was crap and you think that people shouldn't be checking it out.
Well, on that note, everybody should stop watching Lower Decks immediately because it's awful. But aside from that, what have I been up to this week? It's been a pretty busy week, lots of content being produced for Bounding. In my free time, I guess I started a manga called High Score Girl, which is just this sort of slice of life about these two grade school kids who play arcade games, and it's neat, it's fun.
I think there's an anime on Netflix.
Yeah, there is. That's why my friend was watching it, and that's why I decided to check it out.
Okay.
And aside from that, what else have I been doing? Yeah, I finished The God of High School, which is fantastic. Everybody should check that out if you're a fan of anime. Like I said, Lower Decks continues to be terrible. We've got another review coming up soon, considering I believe an episode is coming out tonight. And yeah, aside from that, not a lot outside of that. Just checking out all the streams around the horn. Midnight's Edge, Script Doctor stuff, all that kind of good content.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know. I looked at High Score Girl on the anime. I was just like, slice of life. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely slice of life. It's not substantial. It's just fun. It's a nice little kind of almost like a newspaper comic strip.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Like Archie. It looks like Archie comics type to me.
Yeah, it's like lighthearted. Doesn't really deal with anything like super grim dark, and just ends on humor most of the time. So definitely fun. Definitely not serious. Definitely a nice. What's the right word? Something to cleanse your palate in between other things.
Yeah. I do see we have some folks in the chat are sharing with us. Yeah, definitely share with us in the chat what you guys recommend. I see Lopter's giving us an update on Monster Legends. He also said he's is Rebellis a game? And he says he's been playing Far Cry 4. I don't know what Rebellis is. You'll have to let us know. Far Cry 4 is good?
That's what I've heard. Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet.
Far Cry is like a first-person shooter, right?
Yep. Yeah, definitely not up your alley.
Yeah, I don't play first-person shooters except for I played Mass Effect, which that's like an RPG though. So
yeah, I would say that's a little bit different.
I'll play first-person shooters if they have a heavy RPG element.
Have you ever checked out like XCOM? Or I guess XCOM's more of an RTS. Never mind.
I like RTSs, but I've seen XCOM. I've never played it. It's probably something I would play, but I just haven't done it.
Oh yeah, of course.
I did buy 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I actually like the combat a lot, but the only thing that I don't like is that in order to actually like progress in the combat storyline, you literally have to play through a visual novel for the most part.
You have to do a plot to get to the rest of the game. I get it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the story isn't horrible, but you have to go through significant portions to get to the action gameplay.
It's a pacing issue.
Yes, it is a pacing issue. I agree. But I do find the story is interesting. It's you follow like I don't know 15. I think it's 13 characters. And they all have are kind of connected, but they're also not connected, and it does a lot. There's a lot of sci-fi stuff happening. They say that there's time travel, but I'm not really sure if it is time travel. So we'll see. I haven't finished it yet, so we'll see how it ends.
Yeah, let me know. I'm super excited to check that out. So I'm glad to hear you're having fun with it so far.
Yeah, Father Christopher Miller says he just picked up Rick and Morty season 4. I also know that he shared with me he bought a huge stack of old school comics. I saw there was a lot of Sergeant Fury. I think he had some super old school Superman, Superboy. So he got a big stack of comics that he's going to be going through as well. I saw that.
Love old nowadays when I go to a comic book store, I love just going through the single issue, almost I wouldn't call them bargain bins, but just the old back issues that don't cost $1 million and stuff, because all those stories are so much better, and it's a nice little surprise when you find a good issue. Yeah,
they really are. The old stories are so much better. They really it's amazing how much better they are. And they'll even have I'll even say that I know people will criticize a lot of the new stuff because there's too much writing, but a lot of the old stuff has a ton of exposition and writing and dialogue, but it's not getting a coffee or
they're something. They're running and telling the plan instead of talking about how their date went last night.
Yeah, for the most part. So I see that Don says don't ask about Dune, but then Vigilante Williamson was like, I have to ask about Dune.
We have to ask.
So Don needs to give us an update on where he is at in Dune. I know my sister-in-law is actually reading Dune as well. I think she just what's that?
She just start reading that?
She sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think she's rereading it because she already owned it. She didn't borrow my copy. She had her own. But she just got to the part where Paul and Jessica are fleeing into the desert after the Harkonnens attacked.
Wow, I'm pretty sure she's flying past Dawn there.
Yeah, I think so. So what else do we got here? Oh, Mark63366 says the Order on Netflix is woke as hell. It followed all the woke tropes to a T. I watched the first season. It felt very like YA CW style storytelling. But yeah, the second season I think was when it really started getting woke, and I turned it off as well. I think I watched like maybe the first 2 episodes, and I was like, I'm done. So yeah, you're totally right on with that, Mark63366. Nano Reaper agrees with you. He says lower debt. I don't know if it's a spelling error or not. Lower Desks is the best of JJ and Clussman Trek, and it is still awful. Yeah, I think he's saying lower Desks. Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if he was making a joke at first when I was.
Yeah, right. Lower Desks.
Deviant Pork says, I watched Cobra Kai. I'm 9 episodes in and loving it, and I read Three Jokers #2. Yeah, Cobra Kai is fantastic. I know Tom was praising it on Midnight's Edge, and they were praising it when it was still on YouTube. It's now on Netflix. I think it's getting a wider audience. The show is absolutely fantastic until the last episode of season 2. Where it kind of jumps the shark a little bit and gets a little bit soap opera-y with what happens. Like, it's a huge like set piece, which is really cool. But it's a little unrealistic given how like our world is today. And because I don't want to spoil anything. But and then it gets a little soap opera-y with just kind of like it sets things up, and then like it immediately it's like Game of Thrones almost. Like it'll set like something good up, and then like it just like immediately destroys it, and it's like, come on, like
let us enjoy it.
Do that. Like give him something, like let that character like have something good happen for him in a while, but no. Deviant Pork also says he's playing Knights of Azure 2. JRPG. I'll have to. Is that a newer JRPG? I love JRPGs, so I haven't heard of that one. Nano Reaper says they're playing Iron Harvest. It's a great post World War I diesel punk real time strategy game.
I've heard of that game. I've heard that was really good. I've been meaning to check it out. I'm glad to hear it's good.
Mark Lasser says Raised by Wolves is meant. It is atheists versus those of faith, but a made up religion. That's on HBO Max, I think. Raised by Wolves. I literally have not watched anything on HBO Max because they don't have I'm not going to pay for it because I can't watch it because they don't have an app for Roku, and I'm not going to watch it on my laptop.
That's so insane to me that they don't have that.
It's just not how I'm going to watch TV. I'm not going to sit at my desk and watch TV. I want to sit in my recliner and watch TV.
Yeah, right. I want to be comfortable.
with Georgiana on my like sleeping on my chest or something like that. Don is saying that my sister-in-law is already further than him with Dune. Chris Neville saying he's been reading old New Mutants comics. I bet you those are pretty good. The artwork is really good. Bill Sienkiewicz did a lot of that. Those old New Mutants comics. What else do we got here?
Yeah, the man's insane, but his old work is fantastic. Really a lot of those old X Factor issues.
Vigilante Williams says, I'm not sure. Are you referring to Cobra Kai there, Vigilante Williamson, where you're going to have to sail the high seas? I think that Cobra Kai should still be. I don't know. Is Cobra Kai still on YouTube? It might still be on YouTube. I know it was on YouTube, and you could watch all of it for free at one point.
I think it is because I think it's still a YouTube series. Like I think the new season is on YouTube.
Okay, yeah. The new season 3 isn't out yet, and I think that's going to be Netflix. But yeah. Tahilium has joined us. He says he's started reading some Akira.
Nice, a classic.
Yeah, I think you should be able to. Yeah, Vigilante Williams is saying he saw Cobra Kai. Yeah, I think you should still be able to watch that on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure, but you still should be able to watch the first 2 seasons on YouTube. So you won't have to, if you don't want to subscribe to Netflix. I totally understand that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Deviant Porg is giving us an update on what was it called? Something Knights of Azure 2? Azure Knights 2? Knights of Azure 2. He says it's an old one. It's in the PlayStation now. I finished Tokyo Xanadu, very Persona 5 like, so I wanted to continue on JRPGs. Yeah, I mean, JRPGs are great. Like, especially if you just use the classic combat system, you don't really have to make it unique. Just tell a great story with good, interesting combat and have that right style of pacing. It really isn't that hard to make a fun JRPG as Persona 5.
I mean, like, I feel like the core of like getting your character's equipment and doing the type matchups and strategizing, that's the core of a JRPG. If you don't screw that up, you've got a golden game right there.
Yeah, and then you just tell a great story on top of that. The gameplay elements you don't really need to change. They're tried, true, and they work. I'm going to repeat this, but Persona 5 proves it. They don't like change their combat. It's very basic, simple, classic JRPG combat with type. You have the weaknesses, strengths, and Persona's unique where you can like how you like scale up your abilities or your summons or whatever.
I was gonna say they're essentially just summons.
Yeah, so you can sacrifice the cards and stuff like that. So create new ones. So they have that. That's how they make it complex with their own unique system. But that's the complexity that's added to a very simple combat system.
Yep.
And they keep the combat system simple, but they add the complexity as like an extra part to it. So as for me, Spencer knows I did watch Real Steel. I think a lot of people did on Netflix. Fantastic film with Hugh Jackman. It is very, very, very similar to Megalobox, which I've talked about on here previously, which is an amazing anime, which is also on Netflix, and is I don't want to say reimagining, but I think it's just like
a spiritual successor, I guess.
Yeah, because there was an original one in the 80s, and then they redid this one for Megalobox's like anniversary. They came out with a new one in 2018, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. I love the animation. The story is so good. It's very similar to Real Steel, except that Megalobox instead of having a robot, the robot's like on you.
Yeah, it's like an extra piece of equipment, rather.
Yeah. So, but Real Steel is basically Megalobox mixed with Rocky. The first Rocky,
yeah,
kind of. So, it's a nice little boxing story with the robot element and a kind of underdog challenging the champ. And it's just a nice, fun story, and it also really has something you don't see a lot anymore. And I think that's why it's so popular on Netflix right now. It's something you can watch with your kids because it's really about the kid and the family and creating a family. Even when you've kind of almost rejected your family, being able to find that family when you're also kind of having your own troubles as well, being able to find that family and really that brings you up. So very good, fun film. Highly recommend that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Haven't read anything. Was playing Aegis Rim. I have been enjoying it. I do think there's still a pacing issue with that. Where you have to like go in and do the visual novel type stuff
instead of just moving on.
Yeah, and they try and make the visual novel stuff a little entertaining because there are some kind of like puzzles that you have to like figure out. But like, for the most part, they were more annoying to me. And like, I would be like, okay, why can't I like feed this cat the treats? And then like, I couldn't figure it out. And then it's because you have to like walk the other way.
Oh, I hate puzzles like that.
You open up the menu like cat treats, but you can't like actually select it because the character didn't give them to you, which I thought the character had. That's why they're in my menu. And so like then you have to like in order for the cat if you go too close to the cat, it runs away. And then if you go so instead you have to like walk the other direction, but you can't walk too fast or the cat runs away. So you have to get to a very specific point on the map, so where you can communicate to this other like girl in order to like get her to actually like put out the cat treats, so you can like progress the story, and you can't progress it otherwise. Like
that is so unnecessary for a visual novel. Good lord.
Yeah, you have to do that in order to progress. And it was so annoying. And like, I actually think like I had stopped and quit that story because I didn't know, I couldn't figure it out. I had to look it up.
Yeah, no,
like,
I don't blame you. That sounds so confusing.
You had to get it to this like one exact like little tiny point to move your character there. So that was like super. But most parts like they're like it's just like walk around and like a button will show up and it'll like move the story along, kind of thing. So they're not really. It's not like an actual like challenging puzzle that's like it's not like a BioShock mini game puzzle where you're having to like rewire the
pipes and stuff.
The pipes and stuff. Yeah, it's not an actual like they're not like puzzles like that. All right. So that's I think kind of what that's pretty much what I've been watching. Aside from like anything outside of like the genre stuff, my wife and I have a lot of we put a lot of like family sitcoms on.
Yeah.
Like what's the Tim Allen one? Last Man Standing and like Roseanne and like King of Queens and Everybody Loves Raymond. So we have those on kind of during the day, and literally you can watch those. They're like if like you on cable, you can watch the like if it's not on TV Land, it's on something else. Like those things are so syndicated. You can keep watching the same show like 24 hours.
Yeah, for real.
It's crazy.
You finish 1 hour block on like Fox, and then you just tune over to ABC, and there's another hour of it, and then you go to Comedy Central, and
And so that's just kind of stuff we have on in the background while we're like feeding Georgiana or whatever's happening. Happens to be going on. Yeah, Marcus is like, would you kindly give the cat a treat? Yes, I tried. The cat didn't want to take the treat. All right, so let's get into tonight's the main topic for tonight, which I think is, let me pull it up here. Ooh, that's not it. We can close that. Yeah, let's get into, here we go, Miss Marvel.
Let's do it.
Let's get into some Miss Marvel here. So this will probably be the only place where you'll hear this, or actually read, I guess.
Read.
You'll probably hear this from other people, but this will probably be the only where you can read it this way, because everyone else is like just reporting on her being cast or whatever.
Yeah.
So, report, Marvel Studios wanted to, quote, stay true to the character in casting Miss Marvel actress Iman Vellani. I don't know if I'm saying that right. She's a Canadian actress who literally has done nothing.
I don't think she's been in anything.
Yeah, according to Deadline, she's done nothing. They credit her for doing something at the Toronto Film Festival, and she was doing some kind of like diversifying film at the Toronto Film Festival. Yeah, Chris, they're already. Did they gender swap race swap? No, they did not. Mark 63. Well, at least not this version of Miss Marvel. But yeah, so a new report claims that Marvel Studios and Disney wanted to, quote, stay true to the character when finding an actress to play Miss Marvel for the upcoming Disney Plus series. The report comes from Deadline's Justin Kroll, who also revealed that Marvel Studios cast newcomer Iman Vellani to play Miss Marvel, aka Kamala Khan, in the Disney Plus show. Kroll detailed, the plan always was to stay true to the character in finding the right actress to play the role, even if it meant offering a person that was not well known to the public. So this was really, really interesting to me. Because Marvel Studios and Disney have had no qualms changing the races and genders of many of their other characters. They've had no qualms of changing, I would even argue changing like Drax, they completely changed what he looks like from the comics. With Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't even mention him in this article, but that's another character you could mention. And I know Phil was always harping on how Guardians of the Galaxy was a ripoff of Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah.
The Starjammers.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops. What did I say? Yeah, Cyclops is dead. Yeah,
You said Star-Lord, yeah.
not Star-Lord, yeah, thank you. But yeah, so they've had no qualms doing stuff like that with Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, I use the Eternals predominantly because I think it's just the most obvious, and it's the biggest movie coming up. So the only characters that are similar to their comic book iterations are Richard Madden's Icarus, Angelina Jolie's Thena, and Brian Tyree Henry's Phastos. Obviously, you can argue Black Knight as well, but I don't really consider him an Eternal. I know he's in the Eternals, but he's not an Eternal. He's his own character. So they changed Makari into a deaf black female character portrayed by Lauren Ridloff. This is his first appearance in Eternals number 5. He's right here in this mirror. Speaking to Cersei, he's white man, and he has no problems hearing her through this communications device. So yeah. So again, Kingo was changed from a character of Japanese descent into Indian, played by Kamal Nanjiani. Like this is his first appearance. I think this is Eternals number 11. But yeah, this is Kingo, samurai from Japan.
I love how in his little, like, he's so samurai-y, but you can see the Jack Kirby influence in his little, like, back helmet thing. I don't know what the hell
right
that
here.
Is. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's a samurai, and then you have Ajak, was changed into a female of Hispanic and Lebanese origin, played by Salma Hayek. In his first appearance, Ajak is revealed to have lived among the ancient Inca Empire and is even referred to as the Inca hero Tecumotsin, which I think it's just a fictional hero created by Jack Kirby. When I looked up that, I didn't find anyone else named that. It was all Marvel, so I'm assuming it was that too. And then here he is. He's depicted as a white man with the same skin tone as Icarus. So that was actually, like, if you go back and look at the historians in the 15th and 16th, 16th century, not 15th, 16th century, the Spanish historians in the 16th century do explain that the Incans thought that, what was his name, who first encountered the Incans, what was his name in Peru? No, Columbus. No. I'm missing. I can't remember his name right now.
Fuck, I know. Or whoops, sorry. I know who you're talking about. Shoot, it's on the tip of my tongue too.
But they referred to him as like the pale-skinned white god. Like they thought he was a god because he was pale-skinned.
Yeah.
And that's like actually recorded in 16th century Spanish historians at the time. So that would make sense why Jack Kirby would have a white man playing an Incan like type hero god type person. And then you have Gilgamesh, who's also changed to be an Asian character portrayed by Don Lee. Gilgamesh's first appearance, he's referred to as the Forgotten One, who once roamed the world among the humans. He was later on, he's mistaken as Hercules and Samson. You can see him here. He's also white with like black hair, kind of longer black hair. Why they would mistake him as Samson. And then you also have them changing Sprite into a young female girl portrayed by Liam McHugh. You saw Sprite here. He's actually freeing. He's freeing Gilgamesh.
He looks like a troll version of what's his name, Tintin.
Who, Sprite or Gilgamesh?
Yeah. Oh, Sprite.
Yeah. So he's just like a. You can't tell here. He's like a short guy, orange red hair. And so yeah, that's what he looks like right here in his first appearance in the Eternals number 9. So like you can go and list off all these other characters. They've changed Heimdall, the Ancient One, Mordo, Ghost, Valkyrie, Hogun, Marvel, the most recent, Ned Leeds, Flash Thompson, Liz Allen. I'm sure some people will argue MJ. I didn't include her just because she's
absolutely MJ.
What is she, Michelle Jones or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, I found it really interesting that that this would be the report that they wanted to stay true to the character of Miss Marvel, but they've had literally no problems changing any of their other characters.
Right.
And in fact, have like literally gone out of their way to radically alter, I would say, the Eternals, where they look nothing like those characters from the comics. So Dread Pirate Mikey is Pizarro. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I was right.
Thank you.
I said it as an aside, but no, I agree with you. I think it's such a weird framing, particularly because, like you said, or rather, particularly because I can't think of any other hero or comic adaptation that they've tried where they've said we want to stay true to the character. I feel like this is the first time they've ever cared about that.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the chat here. I'm trying to figure out what Don is responding to. He says, I disagree, Mark. They covered her up. Covered up everything. Because they're talking about Ajax's costume. Okay.
Gotcha.
I see you said Pizarro in the private chat now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think they ever really say that they wanted to stay true to the casting for any other character. And I think that arguably they go out of their way to cast characters or cast people who don't even look like the characters anymore. I think there's
I definitely think that's what happened with Eternals, because on one hand you can make the argument they're eternal, they get reincarnated all the time, but Marvel went so hard into changing everybody. It looks like nothing more than we're doing this intentionally just to do it.
Yeah, and I did see an argument that they didn't change the more recognizable characters. So they didn't change Thena or Icarus. And I forget who they cast as Cersei. But they didn't change Thena or Icarus. But they changed everyone else though. And I know why they're doing that. Once you have these all changed, that's the version that you remember now. That's what that character looks like. And I think the very obvious argument to that is that a lot of the kids in my generation grew up watching Justice League Unlimited. I think we were a lot of people were taken aback when it was revealed that Ryan Reynolds was cast as the Green Lantern, because we all thought Jon Stewart was the Green Lantern, and we're like, why is he white?
Even to this day, there's still lots of fans who think that Jon Stewart, Black Green Lantern, was the first one, and only
right. Yeah, because of the Justice League Unlimited, and that even with the amazing Green Lantern animated series, which was focused on Hal for the most part. So you have that it kind of that vision is what seeps into the zeitgeist. Okay, yeah, Cersei is Gemma Chan from that's what I thought, from Captain Marvel, so they changed her too. And she's obviously one of the more notable ones, so that argument probably has a flaw in it there too.
I didn't even realize she was in Captain Marvel. What the heck?
She played one of the lieutenants to Yon-Rogg. She was
Minerva.
Minerva, yeah, Minerva.
I didn't realize she was Minerva, because Minerva is actually the clone, or not clone, but the fake Captain Marvel that appeared in the 90s.
Yes,
that's cool.
But apparently that character is being eliminated.
Yeah, I was gonna say nothing's gonna come of it, but it's cool.
Yeah, they're not. They are not going in that direction. So I expect this from Marvel. I mean, Eric July we've talked about him before. You expect this kind of stuff. They want to stay true to the characters that are quote unquote diverse. But the characters that aren't quote unquote diverse, they're going to change, and you should expect them to change it, because that is that's their agenda. That is an agenda that they're pushing. Disney made that very clear as well, that they're not just pushing it in the products that they're creating. But you did a story earlier this week that they're actually putting it into their training programs, while the United States government is excising these types of training programs. Disney is implementing it into their training programs. So they added an inclusion key. They didn't really say what that would involve or where on their little key hierarchies it would be, but they are changing their tried and true 4 keys to training their to their castmates to 5 keys now, with the inclusion being the 5th key. And that follows a bunch of statements from Bob Chapek talking about how that's what they plan on embracing as a company. I know he also talked about that in their, what was it? It wasn't the quarterly call. It was a shareholders meeting. Shareholders meeting where he was asked about the pride parades. And he basically said those aren't going away, and we're going to be further embracing that type of diversity. Interestingly enough, while they announced that they would, just a week later, they announced that they're canning 28,000 people. So 28,000 people, I guess we're kind of getting onto the other, we're jumping a little bit ahead here, but 28,000 people will not be,
returning.
As Don says in the chat, there is no training program for Disney. It's the unemployment line. It's exactly true. 28,000. It's probably better that those 28,000 people won't be kind of indoctrinated into that training program. So that's kind of, I guess, the upside. Good side, the upside of that, because it's absolutely horrible that 28,000 people are losing their jobs. I don't usually get political on here, but I think it's horrible that 20,000 people are losing their jobs over a lot of these government regulations, especially in California. I know there's over 6,000 people losing their jobs in Florida as well, despite the park being open there. But people just aren't going to the theme parks.
Well, it's
just like they're not going to the films, like we were talking about with Tom. Was it last week?
Yeah, last week.
And I know I disagreed heavily with Tom on that. That he thinks that people will get back to the theaters. I don't think they will. I think I'm seeing people aren't going to the theme parks in Florida. I think Tenet showed that people are just fine not going to the theaters. I just think that, that people are. I mean, I was talking to my wife today. We can go to a theater here in Virginia, but we're not going to go sit through a 2-hour movie where we have to wear a mask. We're just not going to do that. It's not worth it for us.
Well, I always think about what you said the other week when we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on stream, but I know you and I think Drew talked about the commercial that they're airing now to get people.
Oh, yeah, the Walt Disney World commercial. Yeah.
Like
it's horrible.
The commercial is basically like, come join us. We're open. We're happy. But wear a mask because we're still doing all that. And as John pointed out, because I didn't even think of this, but John's like, as a dad, I'm not going to bring my kid to this place where we have to wear masks for like 8 hours, 9 hours in the heat and walk around. Like, it just doesn't sound good. Well,
I also, I think I pointed out too, was like, they're saying like how happy they are, but you can't see them smiling because they're all wearing masks in the commercial.
Yeah.
So you can't even see that they're happy because it doesn't, like, usually, yes, you can see a smile through their eyes, but like I wasn't seeing that in these actors that they got in this commercial. And I was just like, man, like, this is like, whoever's doing your commercials, you need to fire them, because this is not inspiring me to want to go down to Florida and go to Orlando and go to Walt Disney World. Like, no, thank you. Not at all. Mark6336 is saying, give me a good movie and I'll go to a theater. Will you? I mean, for all intents and purposes, people were saying Tenet was pretty good. And some people were saying it was great. So that's there. Did you go see Tenet? Maybe you went and saw Tenet. I don't know. I just, for me, like, I don't, like, there's nothing even out there right now that even, like, maybe aside from Dune.
Right.
But even then, I'm just like, there's nothing that's like really like, I have to go see this movie, or there's nothing there like I have to watch this. Like, I don't have that, like, what is it, fear of missing out or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not there. There's nothing that's really grabbing me. Yes, Dune looks really good, but also I can wait. I don't feel like I need to go see it. I don't like.
I don't feel like I'm going to miss anything by not seeing these movies within 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I did pay $20 to see Fatima. I know it's totally outside of the genre stuff. It's a Catholic film, but I did pay $20 to see that, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm fine just watching a movie in my home as well, and paying that $20. And that's the first film I've done that. But yeah, I did that.
Film that has like maybe like a Quentin Tarantino film where where the director actually uses the medium to its like strengths, or something like
Avatar, maybe.
Yeah, a Dune or an Avatar.
Yeah.
Unless these films are taking full advantage of the theater like setting, I don't really care. I can wait.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's hard for me to like, and maybe I just don't have the eye for it. It's hard for me to tell the difference between watching something in the theaters and watching something in my home. Maybe the biggest difference I notice is the volume.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest issue I have is that like I raise the volume because I can't hear what the people are saying. I can't hear them talking, and then it gets way too loud because the music is so loud.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm just like, what is
sound mixing?
Lower it, mute, lower. Yeah. It's too loud now. So that's like I guess that's probably like my biggest issue with like my home viewing. That's especially for older movies. I feel like the way they like either remastered them or whatever. It's just really hard. Like I have to lower the volume when the sound comes in, and then raise it back up when they're talking.
No, I have to do that too. It's really annoying.
But yeah. So I saw someone here was saying something about because New York and California are still closed. Yeah, Vigilante Williamson is saying, I think if more places were open, Tenet would have been fine. New York and California is a lot of people. Plus, everywhere I am, it's 40 minutes away. Yeah, I mean, New York and California are obviously like two of the biggest markets out there. I totally get that point, but I still think that like, I mean, Tenet did 54 million in the United States. It's probably done a little bit more, but I mean, it's still like you still expect it to do way more than that, even with New York and California closed. With some of these other states that are open, and people just weren't going. Whether that's because it's like me, you don't want to go sit through a 2 hour plus movie with a mask on, or you still have a fear of contracting the virus. Whatever it is, you have other things that you're doing that are more important. That's what I think. I think people just found other things to do. Whether it's watching people like us on YouTube talking, watching old reruns of stuff, finding old shows to watch, and like that's what I'm saying. We watch reruns of Roseanne and Everybody Loves Raymond, and it's good content. It's good.
It is.
Like, stuff is funny. It's timeless. They have a King of Queens has its moments where they're like talking about stuff that's still relevant to my life now, and I can relate to it and find those moments funny. And dealing with children and dealing with married life and all that kind of stuff. So
and that's going to be the big difference between like those shows and everything coming out now. Everything coming out now is going to age worse than Milk.
Like, it's going to be so bad. Yeah. Like I think the most recent thing that's probably syndicated the most is Big Bang Theory, I guess, but I don't watch that.
No, I don't either.
But the other one is 2.5 Men. That still is pretty timeless.
It is pretty good.
Timeless comedy there because it's just a guy like chasing women for the most part, and then dealing with his like loser brother and his kid, and then like the divorce and so you have that. But yeah, so like here, Vigilante Williamson is proving our point here. I'm watching 60s Batman for the first time in years. It's great. See, people are finding this old. I do really think people are watching this older content and finding that it's far superior to the newer stuff. We've been doing that. We've been taking a hiatus on this, but we've been doing that with Deep Space Nine. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. People are finding.
We've been checking out old stuff lately.
Yeah. So even we're doing that we're talking about. So I just think that. People just are they're finding other things to do rather than going to theaters. And I know people want to say like I saw Grace Randolph was really praising how many views WandaVision got and saying that means the show is like already successful and people are craving new content. I don't know. No,
I don't. That's like saying, oh, all these people watched my McDonald's commercial. All these people are going to come to McDonald's. Like, that's not how it works, Grace.
I do see, because it had let me see how much it had here. Because I did think it did do really well. It had a ton of traffic on it. Also, Script Doctor, thanks for joining us. I know we were just kind of continuing the conversation, but it's good to have you on.
I had a different window up.
Oh,
Hey,
well.
Script should definitely be getting in on this conversation.
Oh, hey, Spencer, guys. Well, I was actually just really kind of captivated by what you guys were already saying. And my internet's been acting a little weird since a thunderstorm flew by here. So the chat is like 5 minutes behind on YouTube than what you guys are seeing. So I just saw the Mark 63366 saying he loves the 60s Batman. That just popped up like a second ago.
Okay, yeah. The last thing I see is Adam West is hella underrated as Batman from Vigilante Williamson. And Mark 6336 is saying I'm craving 80s movies myself. I watched Tango and Cash last night. Yeah, I was watching I forget who it was, but someone had like the Rambo First Blood on, and I was watching First Blood too. Awesome film. So good. And then
two other recommendations from the 60s I would put out is the Mission Impossible series, the original television show. It starts with a different actor, not Jim Phelps, who is the later character, but Dan Briggs, and it's got a male African American character that's not a help person type of thing, like a servant, and that was around the same time as Star Trek. And then you've also got the comedy Wild Wild West, which has a lot of the same writers from the 60s Batman series. So it's also a comedy, and it's got some of the same cast overlap, and it's a lot of fun. And I suggest if you want to check those shows out, do so, because even though they're comedies, and for many decades they were considered camp, when you watch them now, you realize that they're actually way ahead of their time with the stuff they get away with and the jokes and how they're executed. So check those guys out. You will very much like them if you enjoyed the 66 Batman.
I remember I caught a 66 Batman clip the other day where I don't remember. It was like my parents were watching it, so it was on. And I was like doing stuff in the background. But the police commissioner needed to get a hold of Bruce Wayne to tell him that, your life is in danger. We need to protect you. But then the mayor had to get a hold of Batman. So you have this scene where Adam West has the bat phone and his regular phone up to his ear, and he goes,
seen that. Yeah, I remember that scene.
Yes, I'll make sure to be to be as safe as I can tomorrow. 1 second, please. And then he leans over, and it's like, "Hello, Mayor. Yes, I'll be sure to protect Bruce Wayne tomorrow." And I thought it was just a great little moment.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
they've done two of those. Yeah, they did one where Bruce Wayne is talking to himself as Batman. And
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
they do another one there. That's the more brilliant one, but there's also some innuendo stuff. So there's one where the third season where Batgirl's introduced, and Batman is rescuing her from a dungeon, and she's chained up to a wall. And Batman takes out his trusty bat file, and he slowly starts to file away the chains, and then he slowly starts to get faster and faster, more intense and more intense, and the facial reactions of both of them are like in the throes of passion.
That's
yeah, it's in there. It's quite.
That's pushing it for then. Wow.
So that's where they got that Batman Batgirl hookup for killing joke animated.
Gosh.
Well, in that entire series, there were a couple of episodes where Commissioner Gordon was trying to set up Barbara with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because she's about 4 years older than Dick Grayson. She's like 22, back from college. And Bruce Wayne's like 38.
It's not too out of the ordinary, I guess, for back then, though.
Now you can't date anybody less than a minute younger than you. And even then, that's pushing it.
Yeah. My parents were 11 years apart, so 16 isn't like too out of the ordinary. So the WandaVision trailer doesn't even have, it has 14.6 million views. I guess that's a lot. The Zack Snyder's Justice League teaser has 12. So yeah, I guess that's a lot. What does The Mandalorian do? Season 2. So The Mandalorian only has 10 million. So yeah, I guess 14 is a lot for WandaVision.
There's some good numbers, yeah.
Yeah, definitely people were checking it out, maybe rewatching it a lot as well, potentially. That's probably more the case, I think, is you have people rewatching, trying to figure out the Easter eggs or find clues or see stuff like that. And I do think there is legitimate hype for it. Vigilante Williamson is saying, I'm excited for WandaVision. I want it to be good. I think there's a lot of people that are like that. It is also something that looks different, looks out of Marvel's wheelhouse for the most part, with the sitcoms.
And it's going to be the only piece of new Marvel content since Far From Home?
Yeah, since Far From Home as well.
Pretty much.
I do see that J Money J wanted us to get, he was commenting back on the Kamala Khan. He said just another woke trash character from this current Marvel Comics by Sona Amanat, not worth anyone's time. I
sadly agree.
A fair argument.
I'll give Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, this. I read her first run, like when she just debuted, and without listening to any of the interviews with anybody who was on the team, and just straight diving into the book, it was good. It was a good little teenage superhero story, very very Spider-Man inspired. But then they just went off the rails, and instead of giving these good sort of superhero stories, we have, Kamala Khan fighting against real estate developers for gentrifying an area. And I'm sorry, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to see you punching things.
I think Scott Snyder did that in like a Batman book.
Yeah, that's a Captain Planet comic, not
yeah.
It's so bad.
They did that in a Batman book too, though, around the same time. Snyder, it was like Batman 44, I think, in Snyder's like New 52 run.
I had no idea.
Yeah, because I think like Penguin was like moving in on a neighborhood or something. It was like a flashback that like led into the guy who has like the seeds that can like duplicate himself or whatever.
Oh yeah, that guy. We talked about him before. Mr. Bloom or something.
Mr. Bloom, yeah, who had promise and just literally went off the rails with how he was developed. I was like,
plant-based supervillains are and characters in DC are tricky because they always end up being part of like the god, basically like Swamp Thing. Because Swamp Thing's a god.
Swamp Thing and Poison Ivy.
So it gets kind of weird. And then Poison Ivy is somehow something like that now.
Yeah, Vigilante Williamson says I have.
But I mean, for Kamala Khan,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I will go.
I was just going to bring up. So earlier this evening, I was on a stream where we talked about the actor who's portraying the character, and I wish her well.
Yeah,
she has no agent, no representation formally.
Whoa,
she has no representation.
What?
Yeah, she has no experience.
So wait, then how did she get cast?
Yeah, no agency is claiming they represent her. No management is claiming they represent her.
What?
She has no experience.
Okay, I might be a little ignorant to like Hollywood and casting and all that, but don't you generally need an agent or a representative to sort of land these big auditions, or at least get in their sights?
Yes, however, she does have a very weird connection to the Toronto International Film Festival and was on a panel that selected the next wave of films to be showcased. And TIFF is really known well for networking, even though it's no longer a buyer's market like it used to be.
Right.
So it seems like maybe she just caught someone who is involved in the production nearby, who thought that this would be a good face for the character, and offered her the role, which means, which I'm kind of concerned about, because if she doesn't have representation, she might be exploited by the system with regards to how much money she's making and her likeness rights and all those things. But the other part too I'm worried about is that she's 18 years old. She has no experience that we can find on record. Is she going to have the fortitude to withstand the demands of what Hollywood will put on a new actor, especially one with such importance regarding her role and position in the Disney franchise? Will she be able to hold on to that? Because that's a big endeavor. You need someone with a couple of years experience in the industry, even on the independent side.
Right. That's a really good point. I never thought about her. Yeah, she's kind of like diving into the waters without a boat or a paddle or anything.
Yeah, I didn't know that she had no representation. That's crazy. I guess I read the Deadline article, and usually they have at the bottom who represents her, and they didn't have it in that one. So yeah, I just didn't think about that. Yeah, I think the exploitation
Yeah,
part
I checked.
is a huge concern, especially given the fact that over the past couple of years, you have multiple Disney executives who have been locked up exploiting people. Like literally, no, that's like they have been.
Yeah.
Well, the other part too is that she basically got a golden goose. She got the golden ticket. And I wish her the best, but it's gonna be tough for her. It's not even like the weird stupid scrutiny that you're normally going to see on Twitter or anything like that. It's going to be internally within the business. That's going to be tough because she's probably there. I mean, Disney is pretty much going to have to spend a lot of money on acting coaches and really hands-on directors to get a performance out of her if she can't deliver what they're hoping for. And they also are committed to the point where they can't recast her unless the actor, this lady, her young woman herself, decides not to do the role, which I don't see her not doing. She's from Markham, Ontario. This is like a cash cow, so she's gonna take it.
She's what? What is she? She's something cash cow?
She's from Markham, Ontario. It's a fairly
okay
nice neighborhood in on Ontario. It's north of it's east of Vaughan, which is also a very nice, financed area. So if there's money involved, if she's not interested, her family
makes a little more sense than why she might have got
who isn't, right?
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense.
Okay, then that makes a lot more sense. I did see so J Money J saying Kamala Khan in the video game The Avengers is not that bad, but in this MCU with this Phase 4, it's looking shallow right now. I haven't played The Avengers. I've heard some other folks say this as well, that Kamala isn't too bad in the Avengers game. It seemed like they were trying to make, like, even her gameplay looked like she was trying to be a little Spider-Man, the way she's like swinging around the city. So yeah, could you elaborate a little bit more on that? What makes her a little like decent in the Avengers? I'd like to know if it's because she's more Spider-Man like, or
maybe it's because they had to be a little more restrained with her because you are introducing like technically a new continuity to everybody.
Right.
It's a weird mess of a continuity though. Like there's a scene where Kamala Khan, like the beginning scene of the game is Kamala Khan wins a fan fiction writing contest. So she's invited to this big celebration where she'll be a finalist to meet the Avengers and all that kind of fun stuff. And at one point she's looking at a display of like Captain America's suit, and out of nowhere these two kids come in and they're like, "Get out of the way. This should only be for the real fans." And first of all, that's cringe as all get out. But then Kamala responds by she says Captain America's speech to Spider-Man in Civil War, the whole, when the world tells you to move, you plant your feet and you say, "No, you move." So she recites that to them and they go, "Yeah, whatever," and they walk away. But like, aside from the fact that that's a horrible straw man of an event, like, did somebody record Captain America talking to Spider-Man? How does anybody know about that speech?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things I noticed while looking through that game.
Dawn says she guesses Tony Stark's password and the password is "I am Iron Man." Okay.
God.
I don't. Okay, so I mean, everything I'm hearing doesn't sound good at all. It sounds super cringe. I will say I read the first episode, or her first, like, the main comic where they show her as Miss Marvel and she actually like turns into Carol. Shapeshifts into the original like Miss Marvel. And I didn't think that was too bad with her Inhuman origin. I thought that I think like what you said, it seemed very YA, like superhero origin, very kind of no risk taking, nothing like super like interesting or really cutting edge or like that would like really throw you for a loop. It just felt very basic, clean, generic superhero to me, and how they told her origin in that first issue. And I'll be honest, I didn't really read anything about her because I just felt like she's just a tokenized Miss Marvel character. And I just felt like she was just part of that whole wave of Marvel trying to just replace all of their other characters.
Why I gave her a chance, because I was so mad about all the character replacements, and then they said, here's Miss Marvel. She's inspired by Carol, but she's not Carol. And I went, you know what? Fine. Maybe this will work. And I mean, it didn't overall, but
yeah. So so J Money J saying she's not as annoying in Avengers video game. They made her a little more adequate, but at the same time, she's not overshadowing the rest of the Avengers. Okay, that's really interesting because I remember doing some stories on this where the guy who was writing it was basically like, she's the hero, she's like basically all powerful, and she could do like everything better than everyone else. So maybe that was just all talk.
And that kind of is how she's portrayed in the game. Like, there's a scene where so at that big event, a Terrigen bomb goes off, and everybody hates the Avengers and they blame them for it, blah blah blah. So then the game time skips to like 4 years later.
Oh, so it's literally an X-Men story?
No, it is 100% an X-Men story. Like, everything about it. They even have like this news segment like of they're like, there's a like people are just popping up with powers and adolescents don't know what to do, and I'm like, this is just the X-Men. I don't know why we're pushing the Inhumans again. I thought we were over this. Well, you have the rights back. Just use the X-Men. But so that whole thing happens, and so it's time skips to 4 years later, and Kamala Khan is sitting at home, and she's on the R Resistance subreddit to resist against like AIM or something, and I know it's not very subtle, but then there's
Keyboard Warrior.
It gets even worse than that script, because on like during this cutscene, Kamala's on Reddit. She sees this post that's like we can hack it. It's the Tony Stark thing. It's like, we can hack this. We need your help. Come on, do you think you can challenge it? And it's like, first of all, nobody puts out that kind of challenge on Reddit. That just seems really weird. But then Kamala guesses it in 1 second and finds the special location to all the event, like to where Bruce Banner is, and then she goes and she convinces him to come back, and so on and so forth. The only person she doesn't personally recruit is Captain America.
Yeah, so Vigilante Williamson is saying none of that is. I don't know if you're being sarcastic, Vigilante, there, but being on the R Resistance subreddit is super cringe. It's just. It's just too on the nose for me because it's a left-wing talking point, and exactly. I'm just, like, not interested in that because that's all that is. It's so obvious that's just they're just trying to propagandize you through the video game to me, so that's why it's cringe. But yeah, and then and then she's getting recruited by some like lame Tony Stark ad.
Maybe no. She after she unlocks that thing, it reveals to her like where Bruce Banner has been hiding this entire time. So then she goes to where he is, and she's like, "Come on, we got to get him. Like, you're heroes, blah blah blah." And so then she brings Hulk back into the fold, and then you go into that for every Avenger except Cap.
So like everyone's given up, and she's the one who like reunites them and brings like, lights back their spark. And okay, yeah, that's just. Dude, it's literally The Last Jedi, man. That's The Last Jedi.
It is The Last Jedi. It's all of their really low effort, lazy crap from the last couple of years.
Dude, I mean, when we were covering it and we were like reporting what these people were saying, I was like, dude, this doesn't look good at all. Like, the story sounds like crap. They're putting Miss Marvel, like a woke character, as like their main character. Like, I'm seeing all these like bad things are coming out, and like even the graphic, like even they were even having all the production issues with the graphics and even the character designs. They made Black Widow look like so super bad. Ugly, and like Captain America looked like a block of cheese.
That's a good way to put it.
They took that Liefeld, that like infamous Liefeld cover, and like we're like, how can we make Captain America like look like this in our game? Like, he looks like a block of cheese, man. He
does look really bad. And I mean, like, Tony Stark looks like somebody cosplaying Tony Stark. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. But I mean, there's always the possibility of like this show being good, but I think the fact that this person is writing it, which we reported on when they announced that she was writing it, which was like D23, I think, of 2019.
Oh yeah, that was like a while ago.
So this British writer, comedian, she calls herself a comedian. I think.
Oh, I remember her now. The one who got the job. Yeah, she B Canovel, I think,
or B Candal.
No. Her name is Bisha K. Ali. She used a pseudonym for Facebook called B. Conville.
Yeah,
that was like one of her pseudonyms. It was like a stage name that she used. And she had deleted her main Bisha K. Ali profile.
I remember
I was able to find her B. Canville Facebook before she deleted it. After the story was published,
it was so good.
After the story was published, she deleted it. Like
that was such a good swoop, man.
But so like I literally have some of these Facebook posts that she said. So here she said, "Can we do internet conscription for men? You gotta enlist, buddy up with one troll each, and teach them to keep their vile threats to themselves." So she also deleted 5,000 tweets.
I was going to bring that up. Yep. As soon as they announced that she was writing the series, she started deleting them all. John was able to capture some of them, but I can only wonder what she deleted.
Yeah. So this is on Facebook.
Why she wait so long? Usually you get told you're writing a show long before it gets
before you get to that point.
Yeah. So I think it was like leaked. It was leaked before they made the announcement that she was going to be that. So there was like a leak, and then there was like an official announcement. And by the time that the leak happened, she hadn't scrubbed everything yet. Yeah. But yeah, so here's another one. This is a much longer one. But here's like the important thing. She's like, "I believe women can burn shit to the ground and rebuild it into the anti-capitalist utopia of science and art and compassion I think we're all striving for. I have a feeling that this is probably going to be the core message of the Miss Marvel.
I don't think she understood what the art that came out of the communist countries was actually about, because it was actually like banned, and in some cases it was people who fled from those countries and did art to represent how horrible it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't celebrated over there.
And I was listening to Gary's stream earlier, and he was talking. He was right on the nose on this. He was saying that he was talking about Lord of the Rings, and he was comparing it to The Boys, and he was saying Hollywood can't make things beautiful anymore. They can only do shows like The Boys really good, because those shows are super cynical. They're dystopian. They show like everyone is like a bad, horrible person.
Yeah.
There are no like good people. There are no like people who stand up to do things that are right. They just can't really do beauty and majesty anymore, because they've abandoned that.
Well, it's not
embraced like
it's easier to be depressed than it is to be hopeful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned this in probably most of the Lower Decks reviews I've done, but I also think it's a problem of sincerity. Nobody can be sincere anymore. It all has to be ironic or detached or yada yada yada. And the fans who are here for the sincere content aren't going to care. Like us, like, you know, Lower Decks, go ahead, deconstruct all you want. We're not going to be here. I'm only here because it's work.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because you're getting paid.
And the other part too, they also don't know how to write characters that are inspirational without them coming across as cheesy or patronizing. Like there's no fortitude with regards to how they want to approach a heroic character. So it's either they're a dark, complicated hero that just does the right thing in complicated times, as opposed to being someone that's truly virtuous, someone who has conflict and doubts that they're able to do the job that they want, but perseveres regardless, and is inspiring to other people. They just don't do those heroes. We haven't seen anything like that in our media for 20 years.
You're super right.
I think you're right. Even like the Spider-Man that we get with the Tom Holland Spider-Man that they get, he's like a klutz.
He doesn't represent a Spider-Man I'm familiar with in the comics. I mean, the only thing I really like about him is the suits, because they look like fabric suits. They don't look, and I mean, the design is right. I don't like the fact that they're built by Stark's company, but whatever.
They look good.
Oh yeah.
They look good. They look comic like appropriately comic adapted. Like I wouldn't like the Tobey Maguire suit. I didn't believe that he could afford to make something like that because it looked way too complex.
Thank you.
Right.
But I did like the fact that Tobey Maguire got the lines that were very Spider-Man-like. He didn't really nail the performance for me, but he got the right. He was given the right dialogue and the best stories. So
yeah. There's like that. I don't know. I just feel like the Holland stuff doesn't have, like in the first Spider-Man, there's the train scene, where he stops the train, to save everyone. I just where is that scene in the?
You don't get that scene from Tom Holland because they detached him from any of his friendly neighborhood origins. Like we don't get that now because now he's out in space fighting Thanos' army.
Yeah,
and the neighborhood stuff he does is very, very run of the mill, like helping a person cross the street or mistakenly webbing a guy to his car because he locked his keys inside it. Like
I liked that scene, but yeah, they didn't take advantage of the setting that he's built for.
Exactly, yeah. Like they just scraped the surface at the best, and yeah, like a lot of the stuff that he does, nobody is witness to, and that's one of the things that actually is to the benefit of Spider-Man as a character, but horrible for him as in his own world, which is that there's so many witnesses to what he does. J. Jonah Jameson can manipulate that to turn people against him.
Yep.
Right. And we don't get that opportunity or a conflict in these new Spider-Man films because it just feels like 40% of the actual character.
Mark6336 is a huge fan of the emo Spider-Man. Best Spider-Man.
I don't know if you guys saw this earlier today, but the PS4 Spider-Man game, they're doing a remaster for PS5.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and they've recast Peter Parker, and they gave him a brand new model who looks okay. First of all, the model looks like a normal guy. He looks like an adult male, but when they translated him into the game, he looks almost exactly like Tom Holland.
Oh yeah, I hope Tom Holland is actually going to maybe get some money for using his image because that's exactly what they did. It's very obvious that they made him look more like Tom Holland, and that's not like out of the ordinary.
No.
I don't think that's like out of the ordinary. I think it doesn't work because they had a model and they changed it. If you were just going to do that in the first place, that's what you should have done. But they
had a model and that model worked for that period of Peter's life. Like he's supposed to be in his like mid to late 20s, and this guy now
experienced.
But now this guy just looks like a teenager. He just looks like a kid, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work with the setting that they created to put him in. Especially he's going to be next to Miles, who's supposed to be like the young up and coming, and
now they're going to look the same age.
Same age, yeah. It's really weird. Here, I wanted to get back to this. So Doug Ernst did a great job documenting a lot of this stuff as well. He found this from Bishke Ali on a blog that she posted in 2016. She said, "We live in strange and dangerous times in the UK, a leadership that cares little for diversity and the most marginalized already. And across the pond, the systemic elevation of actual white supremacists with actual credentials into positions of superpower." It's absolutely absurd. I'm assuming that she's talking about the president, but
that's kind of weird because for the last 4 years, all I've been hearing, with regards to Europe, is weird reports of crime and things of that nature coming from recent immigrants to France, who have cornered off neighborhoods for themselves. Yes. And if you're not one of them and you walk by, you get accosted. And I'm putting it politely. I had a couple of friends who had just spent a month in quarantine, having left France and came to Canada. So, and for those reasons. So she's completely, and for a UK citizen, she's right up next to that stuff. So I'm surprised that she's turning a blind eye to such things and focusing on something that's more conjecture through social media than actual issues.
Right. And I mean, we've talked about this before, but when you're so focused on a lot of this stuff, it takes over any kind of creative thought in your mind, and that's what you put on the page. So I fully expect Ms. Marvel to be antagonistic towards a Trump-like character that will show up in the show somehow.
I'm also curious as to how they'll represent, because my understanding is Kamala Khan's a Muslim, right? She's follows that faith in the comic, and Hollywood's kind of notorious for not nailing the way not nailing Muslims accurately in their product. So I'm curious if they're going to actually, really take a look at how the majority of the people of that faith behave, which is not in a crazy, extremist, violent way. They're or are they going to just have some sort of blanketed stereotype with regards to other people towards her, and then have a couple of misconceptions on their side to try and justify the actions that they want to do
if they follow the first run of the series, her parents will be very conservative, and she will want to rebel and go out and do things with her classmates. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Teenager stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what the first arc is about.
Yeah.
I'm not even concerned about the fact that they're going to try and portray her as Muslim per se because she's Muslim. Hollywood just sucks with any sort of religion. I don't remember the last time any religion was treated right.
Yeah, unless it's like big mainstream Hollywood for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mel Gibson did a great job.
I don't know. Even some of those Christian made-for-TV movies are kind of silly as well.
True. But
and I'm not a religious person by nature, but I have respect for those that have the faith. And the one thing I know is, even when I get assignment work or stuff where I have to work on that, I always try to seek out as many informed people as I can to make sure that what I'm writing represents, accurately what I'm trying to portray with regards to the assignment, with regards to that faith. Because, I've read the Old Testament. I read the New Testament. I've not read the Quran. Getting a copy of that's been a little tricky for a while.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I know the stories not off the back of my hand, but I know them well enough to at least know where to research with if I'm given a subject. It's okay. I know where to start if you give me this heading or what have you. Right. But it's a complicated thing. And it's a big allegory piece. That's the other part too. It's these are all life lessons that people have learned and written about within their own books, within those Bibles, to convey knowledge of their experiences. And hopefully you will be able to pull from that something that's useful in your current life, because that's the intention of what it is. That's the relationship piece. That's why you read it over again. That's why you share those stories within your congregation. That's why, it travels around. That's why it's existed as long as it has, because there's some useful information in there. So you have to make sure that even in this point of fiction, if you have a character that follows that faith, you understand as many points of view of that faith so that you can find something true to the character and genuine, as opposed to just doing the 5-point, assumptions that most Hollywood writers have been doing over the last 50 years.
Or just making all of your characters who are even remotely religious do the cross. I've seen so many of those on TV, and it just blows my mind.
What do you mean? They just do the sign of the cross?
Yeah, the sign of the cross. My bad. Oh, they're I'm religious, and then the character does that, and it's but what? That's specifically Catholic. What are you doing here?
Yeah, that's spectacles, tentacles, wallet, and watch. That's what that is. That's.
Yeah, usually when you see religious imagery on TV, it's usually Catholic for the most part. I feel like, at least. I do think True Blood had actual
That's why.
True Blood had some interesting Christian depictions. I remember that there was the pastor and his wife, and I think the pastor eventually becomes a vampire, but they're super anti-vampire people. So that was an interesting depiction. But yeah, most of the time it's usually in the cathedrals, and but yeah, it's usually Catholic iconography for the most part.
Like I said, you guys have the best iconography.
Yeah. All right. Any last words on this Miss Marvel show? I literally have no interest in seeing it.
I just don't have interest in anything Marvel anymore.
I know there's a rumor that Brie Larson will show up in the show, make a cameo.
He has to.
I would say that, yeah, if they're going to stick with Miss Marvel's origin, where she's inspired by Carol Danvers to become Captain Marvel, which if they're calling it Miss Marvel, you would think that she has to somehow have some kind of connection with Carol.
Unless they just remove Carol altogether and just make her a fangirl.
Then where does the name Marvel come from, though?
I like
Yeah.
her a lot. That might be what they go with. I'm not saying it's good writing. I'm just saying it.
Or maybe they get like so they insert Marvel comics into the
Into the
Yeah,
world.
into
Marvel
the
bought
world,
the
and
license
she's like,
to the Avengers team through Shield and all that stuff, and they just do fictional recordings of.
yeah, something
Maybe.
like that.
All I hope for is that this young lady who got this very lucky role doesn't fall down the pit of despair when it comes to Hollywood. I hope there's some people. I hope her parents are looking out for her. I hope somebody is able to make sure that have a dialogue with her to make sure that her interests are met and that she's not going to be exploited or hurt. Because the fact that I can't find any record, not just through the normal channels, but even through the people that I communicate with, of her experience at all in this thing, it's going to be an overwhelming issue for her to handle, especially at her age.
Yeah, I mean, Deadline literally she says she's like brand new. The only thing she had, like we said earlier, was that Toronto Film Festival employment where she was selecting like the diverse films or something.
New wave diverse films. Basically,
yeah.
Someone she knew at school was a relative of someone on the TIFF selecting board, and her and her friend were picked to select films that would be in their lineup.
Wow, this is a lucky break then.
It's a massively lucky break. However, as I was saying earlier, I knew a couple of the children who of the founders of TIFF. They went to the Etobicoke School of the Arts. This was like 15 years ago or so, just as I was leaving for Hollywood. I started meeting these people, and yeah, they're friends and whatnot. They'd always get invited to the TIFF networking parties and whatnot. And even though you don't have any experience or anything, if you make an impression, you can open up doors. And I think that's probably what happened with her case.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Good luck. And
yeah,
man,
for real.
I'm really hoping that she pulls out ahead in this and doesn't face a whole lot of scrutiny, more so from inside Hollywood. I'm not too worried about the social media stuff. That's easy to kind of ignore and block out.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
But I'm just hoping that the business itself doesn't crush her excitement.
Right. Don does bring up a good point. He says they have to reintroduce the idea of Inhumans. They'll probably do it in Miss Marvel if they decide to make her an Inhuman.
Man, what if they decide to make her a mutant? What?
Yeah, that's what I would like. That's what I was just about to suggest. I was like, just get rid of the idea of Inhumans, make her an X-Men or a mutant. I think that would make her a lot more. I think that would. It would probably. I think it would make her more palatable, personally. But I do think a lot of people would not be happy with that. But I do think it would be more palatable.
I'm worried that because her power set is so similar to Mr. Fantastic, there's going to cause some issues once they introduce the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. People like, why is this guy like copying Miss Marvel? What they were trying to do in the first, anyways. But she can like shrink too, so that. But I guess he could too, right? Because
Mr. Fantastic can manipulate his body in any way or form.
Right. Yeah, and she does the same thing. So, yeah, that is an issue. Maybe, and then obviously have the Super Scroll too, if they ever do introduce him. Yes, Mega Jetty. I know there's only one Captain Marvel. Yes, I totally agree. His name is Billy Batson. I do 100% agree. There is Captain Marvel, who is a Kree warrior.
And then there's his son, Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Yep.
No, but yeah. So what would you do, Script Doctor? I'd be just interested to see. Would you introduce her as an Inhuman, or would you maybe go a different route, introducing her as maybe a superhero who gets her powers from some kind of freak accident, or maybe that she's a mutant or something like that?
Well, I mean, my understanding is that she's an Inhuman in the comics.
Yep.
And oddly enough, even though Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is over and Disney might try to make claims that they can distance that franchise from their current MCU, which they clearly can't. I would probably just stick with the Inhumans because you've got props already made. You've already got the frame of reference from your diehard Marvel fans. It makes things simpler. The whole mutant aspect, that's going to be one hell of a trick to pull off for Marvel at this point. And on top of that, too, they still have to figure out how to do Fantastic Four. So I think they're going to stick with the more simplest execution, which is make her an Inhuman, make her the only Inhuman that matters, which is pretty much what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to maintain the consequences of the Terrigen stone, because if you're not Inhuman, it kills you, if I'm not mistaken, right?
If you're a mutant, it kills mutants.
It kills mutants, but it doesn't kill normal humans?
If you're a normal,
it only affects people that are it only affects people who have the X gene or have the Inhuman gene.
But regular humans are fine from it. It's just like bad gas.
Humans aren't affected by it. But like, so you can be, so if you're if you have the Inhuman gene, you can die from being exposed to the Terrigen mist as well. At least that's how they showed it on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, they've kind of thrown all the rules of Terrigen out the window nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a whole like Inhumans versus X-Men arc where I think Medusa unleashes like the Terrigen bombs or something like that to like attack the X-Men.
Yeah, and ends up killing Cyclops.
Yeah, and the X-Men have to go to like what is it called? Where magic goes.
New Adelan.
No.
Oh, the Badlands? Or
no, Storm takes them to
Land?
No, Storm takes them to the place where magic gets her powers.
Oh, the Hellspire?
No.
Oh, that's not.
Don's going to tell us.
I know he is.
If he's still listening, I can't remember.
No, I'm lost there.
Limbo.
Yes.
Limbo. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Limbo. He goes to Limbo.
Same place Nightcrawler goes to.
Yeah, so I think Storm she takes the X-Men to Limbo, and that's where they hide out.
Yeah, that's true. And they establish like the school there and everything.
Right, yeah. Don, yes, Gave told us that it was Limbo. Yeah, Chris Neville says it killed Cyclops temporarily. Okay, yeah, so you think she'll stay as an Inhuman. I think you're probably...
I think it'd be the smarter course, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to do that.
Yeah, I do think Mega Jetty is right. The Inhumans seem okay, but they are no X-Men, and Marvel needs to stop portraying them as such. Yes.
Real.
Totally agree.
I mean, they were only trying to push them so hard because they didn't have the X-Men.
They admitted that too. One of I think Remender admitted that he got orders from Marvel executives to not do the X-Men. He admitted that. All right. I do see, actually, I saw a question here, Mark63366. We'll stay on Marvel for a little bit. Who's excited to see the Woke Fury show? I'm not. I don't think it's going to be a Nick Fury show. All the rumors seem to indicate it's going to be a Secret Invasion style show that will be connected to Captain Marvel 2. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well. I don't think it's going to be like a Nick Fury show.
I read it as he's probably just going to make a bunch of cameos in other things.
That's possible. I think this one was saying he was going to be in his like in a known show. I think the latest report from whatever Variety or Deadline.
Well, didn't they say the same thing for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he only appeared in a cameo for one episode?
2. He was in 2 episodes.
He was in 2?
Yeah, in the first season, and Don knows because he just wrote this story. Second season, I think. I'm not sure.
Well, wasn't the second season when Hydra took over?
That was season like 4.
That was season 4? 3?
It was pretty late.
Yeah, Hydra was 3, I think.
Okay. Because that had Bill Paxton in this also, right?
Yeah, he was the Hydra. He was part of Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like I think he was a part of Hydra because he was like attacking the agents. Fury can drive a Dodge Fury in the 70s. I mean, I think it also makes sense too, given what we saw at the end credits of Far From Home. He's in the Sword, what we assume is the Sword base, which is actually super smart of Marvel to do that because they are basically beating DC to the Justice League.
The Watchtower. Yep.
The Watchtower.
Sword is just
Justice League.
Well, I know 2 different origins for Sword. One is where it's like another subsidiary that was built by Earth as a spaceship that orbits this planet, and the other one is it's an alien ship that's been commandeered and retrofitted to become Sword. So I wonder which one they're going to go with.
I would assume it's the first one. I think maybe I could be wrong.
I don't know, because it's so Skrull operated. I might give it the latter. Or the
Yeah.
Were there scrolls on the ship? I don't remember seeing.
That's a good point. I don't know.
You saw like people, but I don't know if they were scrolls. I do know that he was communicating with the scrolls, and we really only got to see him like lounging, like he was pretending he was at the beach, and then he gets up, and then you see that he's on like a huge space station.
Yeah. But the other part that's interesting is that if they are going to do a secret invasion part, it will give a little bit of not really depth, but an extra thing going on with the Captain Marvel movie, because it's basically like, oh yeah, they were the bad guys all the time, is a possibility out of this.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Feige made it very. I think he all but confirmed that a secret invasion is happening when he was asked about whether he was worried about what the Skrulls being portrayed as being like kind of innocent in Captain Marvel. And he was saying, yeah, the Skrulls are like humans. There's like different factions. And this was just one faction that we saw. So he was like insinuating that there's like a lot more like the traditional Skrulls being the villains is still out there. And that's obviously why you have the Kree warring with them. And
but there's also like the people that are just innocent bystanders within the Skrulls that have no desire to be part of such a war.
Yeah, I think they were trying to. I don't think they did a good job of like portraying what those Skrulls were, but they're supposed to be like war refugees that Marvel like sheltered from the Kree Skrull War. They're supposed to be like war refugees, and I don't think that was very.
That was not conveyed.
That was not conveyed effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's what they were supposed to be. And then
that's part of my 45-minute rant that I did a couple of years ago. I have still not released it. I still have to edit that. It's people. I'll do it next year. People will like it, but it's just because I was so disappointed by that film, and I'm surprised that it's still recorded on my voicemail. I did email a copy of it to myself just in case, but like I listen to it like once a week. 45 minutes of me just screaming into my phone. Like, how could they be so silly? They got a decent actress who could look the part. They didn't do anything with her. They didn't direct her properly. Like, I just go on. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a horrible film, but it's also like not like anything to really
home about.
It feels like only a half. It feels like half a movie. It feels like there's another half of that film that just didn't make it, and it could have rounded it out a lot better, which is kind of common of Disney around that time playing.
Tom from Midnight's Edge is saying he wants that recording. Let's do this.
It's funny. You said earlier, John, that Miss Marvel was kind of just a super safe, generic superhero story. I would say that's exactly what the movie was.
It was. I will totally agree with that as well. It was. They even like ripped off the Captain America like origin story kind of where they had the which was I think was also the best part of the movie was when she had that vision when she was fighting against the Supreme whatever the Kree Intelligence,
yeah.
And and you see her like driving the go-kart and then like getting up and stuff like I thought that was like probably the best part of that film.
It was interesting, yeah. I wish there would be more to it. Like in my rant, I have a whole half of a first act with her as a kid and explaining why she ends up becoming an Air Force pilot and all that other stuff and connecting it to Captain America because wouldn't it be fun if she, meets her hero and when she comes back for Endgame? Because that would be something of depth and interest and fun to explore.
Instead, she meets Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And she's like, hi, Peter. Or what did she say? She's like,
Peter Parker, got something for me?
Yeah. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, and she doesn't say it in a fun way. She sends it in a creepy teacher wanting to do her student way.
Yeah. I just didn't like the way that she like delivered that line. It was like, oh no. And then she appeared like out of nowhere, like destroying all those ships or whatever. It's like, okay.
Like if they wanted to introduce her like this, that should have just been her introduction. Like that should have just been it.
Yeah, but even then, she's still like so OP.
I mean, it sucks. I'm not denying that. But if I'm just saying, if they wanted to do her, they could have had her first appearance be that crush in and destroy the ship, and then you can have your movie where you scale her powers back a little or something.
It was almost like Phantom Menace, Anakin Skywalker. At least that was funny when he was just like like destroying the droid control ship. But she just
so many people hate that scene, but I like that scene. When he like
I don't think it's horrible. I mean, it's comedic. I think because they made it comedic, it's palatable. Mark 63366 is saying a female can't be inspired by a male.
Not anymore.
Yeah, you can't have
Sure they can.
You can't have you can only have Coulson.
Radical thinking.
You can only have Coulson meeting his heroes with his action figure cards. It's collectibles.
Oh yeah, man, they dropped that plot element really fast. I totally forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were some people really upset that Joss Whedon killed Coulson.
Yeah, that's
because they managed to still pull off the plans they had, but it just ruined their Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series for them, which Joss Whedon was in charge of developing afterwards, as punishment.
Yeah,
well, that's just my speculation. I have no proof of that, but
Coulson was also like, you had Fury with the cameo at the end of Iron Man, but like after that,
it was like, Coulson.
Coulson was the one who was like really going out and like collecting all of them and bringing them all together, and he was kind of like really like the heart of the team that could really like inspire them, because he had created all these relationships with them, and they were all like his own.
Oh yeah, he was like the agent overseer of the Avengers Initiative. It may have been Nick Fury's pet project, but Coulson was the one to, I guess, bring it all together.
Yeah.
And then Joss Whedon, being the derivative guy he is, he's like, I got to kill someone, because you always got to kill someone in his movies. And so he killed Coulson, and then Disney's like, listen, and I'm speculating here, you killed this guy who we had plans for, so you have to bring him back, and you got to make sure this show becomes successful because we've invested stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then we got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which the first season I think was pretty good, pretty decent, pretty interesting, had a Firefly aspect to it, and then it just went off the rails.
I thought it got better during that Hydra season.
Yeah.
That Hydra season was pretty good, and then it went right back off the rails.
I know people say the Ghost Rider stuff was good
Bill
too.
Paxton kind of
that was the same season.
The Ghost Rider season was Hydra?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because it was like the only time I watched the show.
Okay. I know it did totally go off the rails when they introduced like the actual like Hydra alien creature.
Oh, yeah, that stupid thing.
And he like possessed one of them. That was just not good.
No, that was just bad writing. That was.
I am glad I missed that. That sounds weird.
They transport to like some like alien planet where there's like one like creature who's like a mass murderer, and he's taked on the shape of like this like human astronaut who like fakes that he's like in love with like one of
Daisy,
the one chick. No, not Daisy, the other one. The doctor.
Oh,
the British one.
Gemma, yeah. And then it was like right after she was like proposed to by her other guy. It was crap. It was garbage. Perth Comics says Ghost Rider deserved his own show. He was supposed to get one on Hulu, but I haven't even watched the Hellstrom. I still haven't watched the Hellstrom trailer because Gary was like, "There's no religion." They turned his dad into like an ethic, or they turned the main character into an ethics professor instead of a guy studying to be a priest, and
they took away all the good stuff.
They changed Satana's name to Anna. He's not making a deal with the devil anymore. Like it's like, okay, I'm out. It's not Hellstrom. It's a totally different character.
Gosh, I wonder if they are going to have
Hellstrom in name only. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll have the balls to have him make a deal with any sort of devil. Or his powers.
Vigilante Williamson is like Gary Bird the show. Yeah, he did it in less than 148 characters. Oh, he totally did for me. I have like zero interest. So I'm actually kind of glad they canceled that Ghost Rider show. I know the guy from Dark Fate was supposed to, Diego Luna was supposed to reprise his role, and he's a decent actor.
Yeah, and then he went to Dark Fate instead.
Yeah, then he played the Terminator in Dark Fate, and then they canceled his Ghost Rider show, seemingly indicating that they were going to do a Ghost Rider show or put him in the movies or something like that with Marvel. And I mean, if you're going to do the supernatural stuff, you need to embrace the supernatural. I mean, it's not like, the CW literally has a show called Supernatural that involves like demons and angels and all that stuff, and probably one of their most successful shows ever. What, like 20 seasons or something like that?
Yeah, it went for a while.
So I think it just ended, and then obviously Charmed was extremely successful too. Had no qualms like delving into the supernatural. So to me, I guess the issue there is China, and Disney bows to China.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right.
So that, yeah, Don saying it in the chat there, probably can't sell Ghost Rider to China, which is just absolutely horrible. But yeah, I agree. Ghost Rider has to be on the motorcycle. I don't want to see the guy. I mean, as much as I like the Charger, put him on the Harley.
Yeah.
And yeah, John Willis is saying scientific supernatural just isn't supernatural. It's kind of rehydrated gummy bears. Can you so DC was able to do Swamp Thing, and I would say they definitely were starting to delve into the supernatural there. They literally had a guy named Blue Devil show up, so they weren't afraid to like really go after that.
Yeah.
So we know and that show was fantastic. So and like even Constantine was a show that was gaining viewers as the season was going on because word of mouth was so strong, and they put it into like this kill the show time slot, and it was still
the kill box, which is a Friday nights.
Yeah, at 10 p.m. and it was still getting more people watching it. So I think there's a demand. There is something for that. I mean, and Marvel seemingly sees it with Blade. So if you're gonna do Blade, you're dealing with supernatural stuff with vampires.
Well, not only that, CW's supernatural show for like 16, 17 seasons, and was sold and packaged overseas for every single one of those years, and was actually the one thing that funded all the other CW shows with it because everybody wanted Supernatural internationally. So, like, I don't see why I mean, there are ways where you can do it so that you can market it in China without offending their sensibilities with regards to spirits.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think it has anything to do with offending the Chinese people. I think it has all to do with the Chinese government.
Yeah, well, yes, but yeah, you also can't show skeletons in China. So I mean, if your main character is a giant flaming skeleton, you're gonna have to do the what do they do? The white blur that China does on everything. Just put that over his face for the entire show.
Oh God, yeah. Or just replace it to a giant fire head. Just a flaming head. No discernible features. Just like a match on top of a human's body.
That would be even scarier, I would think.
Yeah, Mark 636.
Yeah. Also, but
Supernatural
I think
actually,
China.
Yeah, go ahead, Strip. Sorry.
Oh, what was he saying? Because I can't see the chat.
He's saying that Supernatural is older than the network that airs it. Like, so I think it was probably around when the WB. I'm guessing Supernatural started airing when it's the WB.
It was done with the WB, and then because UPN and WB merged to become CW.
Yep,
right.
The other part too, like China does have history with regards to like monsters that they can do, and you can kind of play around with that creatively to work your on the translation side of things to work in your supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's ways to do it.
It's surprising too that Marvel of all people wouldn't take that effort, considering like 7 of their movies have extra scenes just for China.
John Willis is saying that there's a vampire lawyer show on Netflix that is from China.
Yeah, I don't think vampires are banned in China. It's spirits and it's skeletons.
Okay.
And the number 4.
And the number 4?
It means die.
Oh, yeah. I know that. Yeah. I do know that. That's Cantonese. That's not Mandarin.
Or Cantonese, right?
Yeah. So that's like in Hong Kong. That's around Hong Kong.
Mm.
All right. Let's look at this next rumor. We're going to do some Star Wars. Darth Bane. This is the reimagined Darth Bane from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. But there's a new rumor, and this is a rumor. Disney has plans for Darth Bane in multiple Star Wars projects. As with most rumors from this source, there's not a lot of details. So I'm not really... I don't know if I really believe this rumor, personally, but so I'm kind of already saying that. But a new rumor claims that Disney has plans to use Darth Bane in multiple Star Wars projects. The rumor comes from Scooper Daniel Rickman's Patreon and was first reported by Full Circle Cinema. So in order to actually see this alleged scoop, you have to pay for it on his Patreon. But Full Circle Cinema says that Disney hopes to use Darth Bane in several projects. They also reported that Rickman detailed there could be a solo Darth Bane project in the works as well. They didn't provide any other details regarding Darth Bane. I think that, I don't know. For me, this is just like another try to get your hopes up. They might do something in the Old Republic, which I do think they had planned. We know that there was a project in the works. Yeah, this says rumor, but there was a project here. The Alita Battle Angel writer was working on it. There was also significant rumors that the Game of Thrones guys were working on an Old Republic film series. And that's what they were going to be working on. So it's not out unheard of that there might be something in the works with Darth Bane. It could be attached to the Old Republic. Because if you're unfamiliar with Darth Bane in the actual quote unquote Disney canon, so this is their official website. It says, after the Sith were decimated by the Jedi Knights of 1,000 years ago, Bane enacted the Sith rule of 2. There would be only 2 active Sith at one time, a Dark Lord to embody the power and an apprentice to crave it. These Sith would operate in the shadows, favoring guile and conspiracy to bring down their opponents rather than brute force. That is, until it was time to rise and subjugate the galaxy. So basically, there was this Jedi Sith war 1,000 years before the Clone Wars. What happened was the Sith were actually winning, but their greed and need for power saw them almost have like a civil war within themselves.
Yeah, like the inside conflict.
And that what happened is it severely weakened them, and the Jedi were able to basically destroy them, wipe them out, and the only one left was Darth Bane. He then created a whole new Sith philosophy with the rule of 2, and then it's hinted at in canon that he has an apprentice named Zara, I think, or Zana, I think. I don't remember. I didn't write it down here. But that's hinted in the Disney canon, but it's definitely he definitely has an apprentice in there. There's about like 4 Darth Bane novels written that are legends now. John Willis says the Sith are Highlanders. Yes.
They wish.
Wouldn't it be? Oh, that would be kind of interesting. Like, so instead of like if you killed a Jedi or a Sith, there's like a quickening and like you obtain their like midichlorian counts or something that like increases your force power.
Oh,
that'd be interesting.
That's. I mean, I could see it happening with Anakin.
That would kind of go on to your idea that they would use the baby Yoda to transfer midichlorians to like the Sith troopers, right? Script.
Yeah, that'd be something.
Why does that cover look so funny to me?
So that's her. I think that's Zana or Zara. I don't remember her name right now. Fire Knight says in the book, so I'm not familiar with these books, but he says, Fire Knight 13, thank you for joining the chat. He says, in the book, Bane killed the Sith himself. Not sure if that's still canon. That is not canon. From the research that I did for this article, it sounds like the Jedi wiped out the Sith. And Darth Bane is the only one left. He might have finished off, like it's possible that he might have finished off the last remaining remnants that weren't defeated by the Jedi. But to me, it was the Jedi defeated them after they started killing themselves. I think as a Star Wars fan, like this would be something that I would be interested in, but I just think that's like it's just empty. It's just an empty hope at this point.
My problem is when was the last time Disney brought anything back from Legends?
No, they did. They've actually been adapting a ton of stuff. They've been, remember? Come on, who's the Rise of Skywalker?
Okay,
they stole everything from Legends.
Okay, they stole it, but they didn't adapt it. Okay, fair point.
Sorry. Okay, yeah. If you're, like they haven't been adapting it, but they've been like they've been incorporating elements here and there.
Right,
like
right, yeah.
in Rogue One, they brought in the Hammerhead to knock the Star Destroyer into the shield generator over. Oh, what was that planet called? Whatever. No, Jeddah was
Scarif or something.
Scarif, yeah, over Scarif.
Yeah,
That's
Scarif.
it, Scarif. So you get that. In Rogue One, obviously you have the clone Emperor in Rise of Skywalker is totally from Legends.
Yep.
They brought Thrawn into Rebels. So they're adding in stuff from Legends, but they're not like adapting it.
Yeah.
So yeah, John Willis is saying they threw it in a blender just to see if it would blend. It's pretty much.
Yeah,
That's an accurate description.
Super accurate.
Marcy Series 6 is Doom has been the most mistreated villain in the movies. Are they talking about? I guess they probably are talking about Marvel again. Doctor Doom. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, they're talking about the Fantastic Four because we talked about the number 4, and then I antagonized.
Yeah, Mega J saying Thrawn in Rebels wasn't the same as EU Thrawn. No, he's not. Thrawn in Rebels is a subordinate to the Emperor. In the EU, he's a rival to the Emperor, and he's probably a better tactician and possibly even better strategist than the Emperor. Although I guess he kind of gets outwitted by the Emperor with the clone stuff, so maybe not. I don't know, but yeah, I mean he brings back the Empire after the Emperor had been defeated. So yeah, he's definitely different than what we see in Rebels. Fire Knight 13 is saying Thrawn in Rebels sucks. I don't know. He wasn't like too horrible. I do think that I think where he fails at in Rebels is this is what they fail at in The Mandalorian as well, is how they describe the character and then how he actually is depicted. So in The Mandalorian, you get this guy who's like depicted as this like badass, best in the galaxy. You have multiple people calling him the best in the sector. Like he doesn't make mistakes. He brings in the bad guys easily, and then you'll see him like wiping out like I don't know, like they weren't Trandoshans. They were supposed to be Trandoshans, but they were like hybrid Trandoshans.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
The hybrid Trandoshans. And then then he's giving up his weapons to the Jawas, and then he's getting beat up by a rhino without like doing any kind of like actual like scouting. So Thrawn has the same issue where he's supposed to be this master strategist. They're bringing him in to like destroy this rebel sect. He's supposed to trap them, and every time it looks like they're going to, he's like got them locked in. The rebels escape. So it's like, is he really that master of a strategist? He never actually defeats them ever, at all. None of his plans ever work. He's just like they just make him look like he's going to win, and then they get out of it like that instead of him actually winning. Which is what's so great about Empire Strikes Back and Infinity War, is that there's actual like consequences. Vader wins in Empire Strikes Back after them being defeated in A New Hope, where Thanos wins in Infinity War as well. So you act like that's why Empire is probably one of the most loved Star Wars films. You have those actual consequences where they show that the bad guy can win, and he does win, where Thrawn never does win in Rebels. But yeah, so in the actual canon, he's supposedly the last surviving member of the Brotherhood of Darkness following the Jedi Sith War, and then he reformed the Sith, instituting the rule of 2 in order to prevent Sith infighting. I think the only time he's actually been shown in a canon Disney Star Wars canon, though, is this is down here in this Clone Wars episode, where it's not actually him who's being shown. He's actually an illusion when Yoda is trying to discern who discern the identity of Darth Sidious and figure out who he is. And Sidious creates an illusion of Darth Bane, and Yoda like eventually rejects the illusion, saying that he's dead.
I don't believe you.
And he knows that Dark Lords of the Sith can't be one with the Force, so the ghosts can't exist. What was interesting though is there was a deleted Clone Wars episode where Darth Bane and Darth Revan were actually going to show up and train the Son in the dark side, and actually be Sith ghosts. But Filoni, according to what I read, Filoni said, no, this is a bad idea. Sith can't be one with the Force. And then he talked to George about it, and George like thought about it and was like, yeah, scrap it. So they never actually animated the episode, but I guess there was like, they did do like, they had like the voice recordings and everything as well. So I think they released it as part of like a special edition on one of the Clone Wars DVDs. But
I had no idea that was even a thing. Darth Revan is like my favorite Sith Lord.
Yeah, he's also a Jedi too. So he's an enigma, which I like. I think I like that idea in general, but then I also like totally don't like the idea of gray Jedis. I don't like the ideas of them. I think you could have like within the Sith, like, so if they wanted to really do something with the dark side, they could do away with the rule of two, which is what I think they seem to be going with anyway. And then they could actually like kind of almost create these like cult of personalities around the Sith, where you actually can embrace like Revan and have like a sect or a cult of Sith people, like with the Revanites.
Powers and specialties depending on who they're following.
Well, they would learn his, like, they would be trained under him. And so you can have these like rival cults of like Sith, and they kind of did that, I guess, a little bit in Rise of Skywalker. Although they didn't really show us, like, they didn't really tell us who those people are.
The Knights of Ren? Or are you talking about the people at the very, very
not the Knights of Ren? Those like people in the stadium. Apparently, they're supposed to be like Sith cultists or something.
That was such a weird thing. Why were they all down there?
Yeah, they're supposed to be some kind of Sith cultists or something. They weren't explained at all. Like, you had no idea who those were, or like what, like who are all these random people in this arena? Like, what is this, Gladiator?
I didn't even realize there were people in there the first time I watched it.
Oh, you watched it twice? Oh, have mercy on you.
I
know. But yeah, so I'm showing my true colors. Because I think there would be cultists and Sith would be cool. I did not like the Rise of Skywalker. I'm just saying that this idea of the cultists could be cool.
The idea is very cool.
They might have had it a little bit in there in Rise of Skywalker. The way they implemented Rise of Skywalker is absolutely trash.
Oh yeah, there's nothing.
Because you have no idea who those people are or what they're doing there or what their role is, unless you read the novel that contradicts itself every paragraph. So.
That's probably why they shelved the comic adaptation.
Yeah, I don't think it's come out yet. Also, whatever happened to New Warriors? Dawn, tell us. Is that ever coming out?
The show or the comic? They scrapped both of them.
The comic. I think it's just done.
Come on, you got to at least. I know issue 1 and probably 2 is done. Just show it to us, Marvel.
You know they finished.
Just show it to us.
But Tom, thank you for joining us for Midnight's Edge. How are you doing?
Yeah, I had a few minutes. I thought I'd pop in and say hi. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're talking about this. We're actually kind of positing an idea that you could have, if they wanted to really do something interesting with the dark side of the Force, you could have kind of factions of the dark side with like Sith cultists. So you'd have like Revanites or even like Palpatites or something like that, where they worship Palpatine. And they might have been trained by Palpatine or something like that, or even someone like you could have someone trained by Maul, and they've created like a cult around Maul, and so you could have like warring Sith factions or something like that. And the Jedi might have to be like actually, like, as Script Doctor, I think his idea is like have them really act as kind of like these Texas Rangers or U.S. Marshals or something like that, where they have to go out and maybe like deal with these Sith cults or something like that, putting them down. So they don't gain like they don't try and launch a new civil war or something like that when they discover them. It could be interesting.
Yeah, but how do you feel about tacos?
I love tacos. I love
They're the
tacos.
best.
That's about how much I care about Star Wars anymore, to be honest with you. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but unfortunately, we just kind of reached this place like where I feel like a lot of fans are like me, where they're just like me. Okay.
I think that's where we all are, and I think that's why John's script and I kind of ran with this topic, is because we don't care about what they're really making. Like, we're speculating here. We're writing good stuff, or at least
Yeah,
what
we're coming up with our own stories on the fly here. Yeah, I don't know. I think that could be something interesting. Maybe that's something that I might incorporate into one of my own stories. You have these like different cults, and I kind of do, I guess, don't a little bit in my one story.
Yeah, don't let me derail this conversation. I really
It's
just kind
already
of hopped in to say hi. So yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you on. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Willis is saying the title of the show could be Walker Sith Ranger. John,
I'm waiting for South Park, and I'm working on a video. So yeah, sorry.
is it not on yet? I thought
It was on, but I don't have cable, so I got to wait for it to come on.
Yeah. I could have sworn Father Christopher Miller wasn't here earlier, and he was giving.
Is it on HBO Max already yet, or does anybody know? Or
it might be on the YouTube channel or their South Park channel.
So usually it doesn't come out till the next day, but
okay, yeah, I don't know then. Yeah, you might have to wait till tomorrow. Unless I'm sure there's people I'm sure people have.
Yeah, it's right on their banner. New special tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Neville saying get ready for all the South Park butthurt articles tomorrow. They're probably already coming out.
Yeah, they're already in the queue and they've been scheduled.
Yeah, I'm surprised there aren't any tonight.
Well, I guess I may have to be a pirate. Oops, I said.
No, there's nothing wrong with sailing the high seas with Jack Sparrow.
No.
I would love to sail on the what is this ship called? The Black Pearl. I would love to sail on the Black Pearl. There was this comic edition where he's like, there's this also comic where they kind of this is a Dark Horse comic, Legends Now. I think it's called like Legacy or something, where this guy is trying to become a Sith Lord and seeks training from like Undedu, Nihilus, and Bane. And so this is Bane here. He looks like the guy has like lots of different looks. So this is him in this comic. Obviously he's more like samurai looking in the Clone Wars episode, and then in the novels, this is how he is shown right here. That's him there, where he's got like this like really like jaundiced looking face with the eye makeup.
Rebels, he looks or in his deleted Rebel scenes, he looks completely different.
In the Clone Wars, he doesn't look like this in the Clone Wars.
No, in Clone Wars, he has like he's pale, and then he has eye makeup, but it's like red eyeshadow that looks like bleeding tears.
Oh, you went and looked up that deleted.
I had to see him.
So yeah, I mean, you can see how he had lots of different looks. Even here, he looks a little different from the other book. Maybe that's because his hood's not up. But yeah, I think that, I mean, I get the not caring about Star Wars anymore. I get that. I do think like there are there are really cool stories you still can tell.
Well, like I said, don't let me derail this. Yeah. I'm just.
But they just need the right people to tell them. I just don't think they have them
Star
right
Wars
now.
isn't going to die anytime soon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't expect them to do that anytime soon. I mean, I'll be really surprised if they actually
not with that
fix a lot of the changes that they made, that we suggested that they make in The Mandalorian.
Illusion they're BSing about.
You're breaking up, script. But
over at Disney.
I have no idea what you just said.
Something about Disney. I caught that much.
I heard Disney, yeah. I think he was talking about the inclusion of the cast members. The fifth key. Is that what you're talking about?
The fifth key. Every time the entire time I was writing that article, and I had to keep writing 4 keys, 5 keys, I just thought I was writing a Kingdom Hearts article. Disney has another key, and I'm like, oh man, here we go again.
All right, let's move on from Star Wars. We kind of talked Disney already. Let's do. You want to do Wonder Woman? That's what I got up here. Okay.
Oh, that is not a flattering shot of Gal Gadot.
That is one of their promotional images on.
That's what that is.
That's one of their promotional images on the official website for Wonder Woman 1984. So it's an official released photo that they have on their website. But yeah, so she did an interview with a German website called, what is it called? Cinema Magazine, where she spoke about the film and why certain filming locations were chosen. It's obviously was in German, so we're using a translation from Reddit user Kinoa. And so Cinema Magazine asked Gadot, how impressive was the shooting? She responded, we felt like Washington and the White House are very political places. Duh. And they're the ideal backdrop for this film. We shot scenes at the Washington Monument and Pennsylvania Avenue, which was incredible. The whole street was closed and was so chaotic that it almost became symbolic for everything that is currently happening around the world.
How?
I've seen the...
no, that's not the same way.
Well, I've seen that shot, and because she's like running. You see her like sprinting through the street. She like flies down on a parachute too. You see that footage is out there because they did it in the middle of DC. They actually shut down parts of DC to film that. And yeah, that scene is chaotic, but how is that like reflecting? How does that reflect what's happening? How is it symbolic for what's happening in the world?
And also, you're saying like, if you're saying it's because it was like,
is the Senate on fire?
Yeah, right. Seriously, or are they even there?
I think there's like a terrorist attack or something because everyone's like running around. There was cars were flipped over. Stuff was like all strewn out. Like people were like it almost looked like some of the World War II footage in London when they were being bombed.
I'm hoping this just popped into my head, and I really hope this doesn't play out. But because I never even thought that there might be some sort of like terrorist attack plot to that. I always thought it was just super villainy. But I can definitely see, like, what if they make it so Maxwell Lord causes some sort of whatever attack, confusion, and then we get some sort of like preachy bigotry angle. Like somebody gets wrongly blamed for it, and Wonder Woman has to, fight against the prejudice. I don't know. It just sounds like that could happen, and I'm now very worried.
I don't know. When I think 1984, like, I guess in the 70s you had a lot of those like terrorists, attacking stuff in the 70s. I don't know, but by the 80s, I felt like, I mean, obviously I wasn't alive in 84, but to me it was more just like Cold War.
Well, in the early 80s, there were the in the early 80s, there were the U.S. citizens rescued from the Middle East, hiding at the Canadian embassy.
There was a few bombings here and there.
The last Operation Carter signed off on.
And there was like the original Trade Center attack thing. I think that happened. When was that? Was that late 80s, early 90s?
That was early 90s, yeah.
86?
Yeah, that was in there. That was in the 90s, I thought.
It's like 93.
It was early 90s. Okay.
Yeah, that was in New York too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess you could have something like that. I don't know. I mean, when you're doing, I don't know, 84, I just think, to me, you're sitting, that's like still Cold War. That's what you're putting it in, I guess. But you could, I mean, they could steal something from the 70s if they wanted to, because that's when you had all like the Weather Underground and all that stuff.
And like the Iranian hostage crisis and stuff was back in 79.
Yep.
Yeah, so you could have stuff like that you could like kind of add in, but I mean, to me, like the last time DC was really like on fire was like after Martin Luther King. when like a lot of the city was
Oh,
burnt
you mean the
down.
city? I was like, what did DC Comics do with Martin Luther King?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I'm talking like real life. I'm talking real life. But yeah, I don't know. This just seems like a virtue signal here, which is really weird from Gal, but also not at the same time because she totally did that like imagined virtue signal. So like who knows? Maybe she's spending more time in Hollywood now than she probably is at home. So and we see what it does to you.
Yeah, seriously.
For the most part. At least when you reach that star status, you kind of see what it does to you, at least.
Great.
And she goes on to say it's very overwhelming and emotional. In addition to that, we shot the most emotional scene on the third day of filming. She said that before, so that's not new. This put us straight in the right mood.
You steep, Trevor.
And then she goes on to like kind of talk about the costumes and stuff, how they're like very 80s and they like. So yeah, indeed, you could say
they're all over the 80s. That's a problem.
Yeah, you could say that the decade is a character on its own in the film due to the 80s being extraordinary in regards to fashion, politics, colors, music, and art. They didn't use a comma there. I should have added that. Yeah, I'm an Oxford comma kind of guy. Okay,
As we should all be.
Have you hadn't noticed? Yes. But yeah, so here she talks about like they use punk, funk, rock and roll, or elegant looks. Everything is there. And huge shoulder pads and wild hair were a daily fare, of course. So nothing really
shoulder pads is late 80s.
Yeah. But that's nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing we've ever heard. She's talking about the shot with over 200 extras. I think she's referring to the DC scene. Because you saw that they had a ton of people there in the footage. But this isn't the first time we've kind of heard that the film is going to be reflecting current day. Patty Jenkins actually said it was particularly the 80s because of the fact that was the height of everything we're now paying the price for. It was like we thought for sure it could go on forever and there was going to be no price and you could just have exponential growth and it could keep going. And
so it's about cocaine?
Yeah, for real, right?
I think they're talking like I think she's like referring to like Gordon Gekko type like greed in the 80s. I don't know. I was born in 88, so I don't like when I think of the 80s like to me like Stranger Things is very like 80s like
not really.
No. Okay.
Yeah. I'll take words for it.
It's a representation of a certain point of view in a very stylized world vision view of the 80s.
That was the nicest way to say it's not the 80s at all.
It is, but it isn't. It gets some things right. I haven't seen
it's a portion of the 80s, I would say at best.
Here's the thing. Like looking back at the 80s, you see more now than you did actually living through it, of course.
Right.
The Cold War was kind of a part of the earlier part of the 80s, but I joke that Rocky single-handedly ended the Cold War, but it kind of did.
It did.
It didn't maybe actually physically end the Cold War, but it kind of did in the eyes of the Americans and the world in a lot of ways. Like, okay, we're putting this thing, aside now.
Yeah.
And then, then you kind of, like we said, we kind of got into this era of like the terrorist kind of grew, and that was our new enemy. And I don't know where the hell she's getting where we're paying for all this thing other than maybe the excess of the 80s, but we paid for that in the 90s.
The 90s, yeah.
So I don't understand what the fuck she's talking about because everything was pretty on an even
like the
keel by then.
aftershock.
Like racism was kind of an afterthought in the 80s. Sexism was kind of an afterthought in the 80s. Women could do whatever the fuck they wanted. Men could do whatever the fuck they wanted. You could be a woman if you were a man. You could be a man if you were a woman. There were some laws that prevented you from getting married. And I'm not saying there wasn't, a little bit of, this and that here and there from certain types of people, but things got better in the 90s to where, we got to this point where everybody's like, all right, we've gone far enough. This PC shit, we've managed to get here. Everybody's on an equal playing field. We're good. And then everything seemed to be fine, especially after 9/11. Like, it seemed like everybody kind of got on this even keel then too. And it was like, I don't know where all of a sudden this shit's coming from, where they're just trying to, it's their way of saying Donald Trump.
Yep.
is what it is.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah,
But the other
100%.
part too is like 9/11 was it split in a different way. Like the average person was wanting to come together and just like not be put down by this attack and rise above it. But there were other outlets that had more interest in pushing the fear, pushing the paranoia, pushing the fact that maybe there's some sort of that like I remember the horrible arguments that people were claiming that America would deserve this, and I'm like, that is a horrible thing. Like nobody deserves those types of attacks in any way.
Yeah.
But that was kind of what was circulating in Hollywood at the time. It was a smaller group, but it looks like they kind of got a little larger, and they're now trying to say, like, again, the 80s, we resolved a lot of stuff in the 80s, but even on the financial side of things, we're still in an aftershock of a lot of what happened during the 80s under Reagan and the first Bush.
Well, and a lot of that was coming out of
because
the
it was a
70s
reversal
too.
to what was originally going on. Because like the 70s wasn't great either, but like the
I was
50s
gonna
and
say,
60s,
we had
there's a
big
lot of bottom up
recession in the
growth.
70s.
Yeah. Like 50s and 60s, there was a bottom up growth that really exploded and went well. And then the 70s, there was an oil crisis, which kind of screwed around a little bit. And then in the 80s, it became a top down growth. And it worked really well for a while. And now people are like, now things are kind of weird. And 40 years later, trying to figure out, like, is it still top ground? Is it still bottom up? Is there some sort of middle ground? Because there is a lot of there's more corporatization as opposed to just capitalism. That's the other part too, right? So corporates are now absorbing more companies and becoming one unified thing, as opposed to how it was before, where new companies were being developed and created every year.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's across like all sectors too.
Yeah.
No, but
exactly.
yeah, back to this article. That's what I think they're trying. This is just a bunch of fucking fancy talk for Trump.
Yeah,
Because I
think
don't
so.
understand what the
Probably,
fuck she's talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But so she says it was like we thought for sure it could go on forever and there was going to be no price and you could just have exponential growth, then it could keep going and all of this excess.
It kind of could have. I
Yeah.
mean, and that kind of goes back to what Script was just saying, and that's kind of the same kind of conversation we were having on Mary's stream just before I popped in here. Was, we're talking about the Disney aspect of this shit, and that's really what it is. Is like, we hit the internet age and all these other things. As long as this, the system would have kept working for itself, and you had mid-level to low-level employees making, livable wages, and not the top 1% of every company making all the money. That's what they're trying to go after, which fine. Yeah. But that shit didn't happen.
Buying other companies.
Yeah. That shit didn't start happening though until the late 90s, early 2000s though. Like a lot of the things of the 80s.
Well, it happened far more frequently. It was really.
Go ahead. You're behind
cutthroat.
Script.
It was corporate hostile takeovers. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I'm a little bit delayed. I guess I caught whatever Scott over at Sporking News has. But like the 80s, there was a bunch of movies and television shows that reflected the hostile takeover. I mean, look at Pretty Woman. What is Richard Gere's character doing there? He buys a company, sells it off bit by bit. That was what the 80s kind of did. But now we've had, 30 years later, it's you buy a company, you absorb it, and then you just kind of trim the fat to try and make it more profitable. So you end up, it's all about conglomerates and asset acquisition, as opposed to, what the 80s actually was and what the 50s and 60s was, which is a generation of new businesses, new products, new innovation, and whatnot.
Yeah. But Mark's right. It's cocaine. It was all about cocaine. Cocaine fueled the 80s. It was everything.
It really did. And Rudy Giuliani ruined that for everybody.
Bring it back.
Yeah, I mean,
cocaine ain't that bad for you as long as you don't do too much.
Great way to lose weight.
Bounding into healthy drug tips.
Speed.
I'm
was
kidding, of
using-
course. Asterisk there for do not listen to Tom on bounding. He does not reflect bounding.
Crystal meth was used during World War II as a anti.
I think you just told me.
As an anti.
Psychotic.
No, not an antipsychotic. It was used. It was so the Nazis used it to invade Belgium and then France, and they did it within 3 days, and none of their troops.
It's like a gas or whatever. Or,
it was used to keep them awake.
Okay, gotcha.
To
Just keep going.
to avoid
stimulant.
having to. Yeah, it was used as a stimulant to avoid having to sleep during the night. They stayed awake for like 3 days, and it was
it was kind of like how they used to use like a lot of people. It's funny that the whole like stigma of if you're high and smoking dope you're gonna be lazy. They used to give bricks of the shit to their Mexican troopers because that's the same fucking reason is like you'll stay awake longer if you're on the right shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Roof Crane 92 is saying pilots in World War II used meth for long flights for the Luftwaffe. But yeah, they used it on their ground troops as well when they were invading west into France.
I'm paraphrasing that whole thing a little bit, but if you look it up, it's out there. It's a thing.
Okay. So I don't know. Every time I hear more about Wonder Woman in 1984, it sounds like it's going super woke.
The test screenings were shit from what we heard.
Yeah. Well, even the leaked plot that we've seen just just garbage. I think like using this like MacGuffin to using a MacGuffin to make wishes or whatever, and then it just looks.
Well, the first movie needed a whole another rewrite, and this one sounds like it needs another 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's part of what scripting you guys were talking about before I popped in. I don't know, but what were you saying there, SB? Sorry.
Well, I was just saying the first one definitely needs a rewrite specifically for its ending.
Yes.
Like everything right up until the ending. And then
I fixed it real easy. It's real easy to fix it. You know how you fix it? You just make Ares her dad.
Boom.
And all that.
Yeah.
All it does is it fixes why her mom lied to her all this time, why she thinks she's some, like almost like, oh no, I can't let her go. She's going to fuck up everything. Cause that's, and then also, it also explains why after she kills her father, war continues, because isn't that the whole thing is if she kills her dad, war's supposed to end. But yet then it also gives Wonder Woman an excuse to get involved with every single war afterwards. Cause she feels guilty. So she's obviously going to take the right side of whatever war is going on.
Oh, that's awesome. I really like that.
End of story.
Yeah.
It's like,
I love that, Tom. Wow.
So she's the new goddess of war.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's definitely how it should have ended. I hated the ending on that, especially like love wins, and it's like you just literally turned into a sword to like shoot lasers at Ares.
Well, and it also gives her an in back.
Where did that love
wins
come from?
Because now they got to explain now why she would ever be allowed back on her home world. Because remember, they told her once you leave, you can't come back.
Yeah.
But if she comes back and says, "Mom, you fucking lied to me," then that opens the door for her to get back. You know what I'm saying? Like there's that they didn't think that through. I don't understand why they just didn't think of that little thing. And I know it's a big change from the comic books, but it makes sense in the movie.
It's a change from the comic books, but it also embraces her more warlike persona that you see in the comic books as well, which you saw in Batman vs Superman. She's like busting out the sword and shield and going to town.
Well, and just think about that. You have that scene in the second film or even a Batman movie or wherever, where they're like, why are you doing this or whatever? She's like, it's my fault. As long as I'm around, war is going to continue. I can't stop it. So all I can do is fight for the right side,
Right. Yeah. No, I think that would have been that's a much better ending. Makes a lot more sense. And I think it embraces the part of Wonder Woman's personality that we don't really I mean, we do see it quite a bit in the first movie.
But they don't embrace her to completely, because I've said here's the thing with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is the character that while Batman and Superman are fighting over whether or not they should kill a bad guy or not, Wonder Woman's already done fucking cut his head off.
Right. Yeah.
She's just not going to sit there and piss around. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They did that a little bit when she when she storms out of the trench and just goes for it and doesn't listen to them. So that's there a little bit, but it's not like.
Well, they took her balls away. She is kind of the badass, like she doesn't ask questions. She just does.
Right. And that I think that's why I like that trench scene a lot. She just goes up and starts charging the German line with the machine gun. So, but
because with her, it's not so much about life and death as it is right or wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, she's immortal.
100%. Yeah. So I think that would definitely be I really like that idea on how you could fix Wonder Woman.
Too late.
I know. Too late. just like Star Wars, right?
Yeah. That would have been my easiest script. That was kind of my almost what's weird is because script doctor. I don't know if you ever saw my Man of Steel video I did where I fixed Man of Steel. But like when I got to Wonder Woman, that would have been the easiest episode. It would have literally just been as long as that little thing I just said there. So that's all you have to do to fix that movie, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's it. I'm done.
I love it.
Just give her some daddy issues. That's all you need.
Represent your audience.
All right, I just want to kind of take a poll with everyone listening here. Do you plan on watching Wonder Woman 1984?
Eventually, definitely not running to the theaters for it. I'll catch it if it's like on somewhere.
Yeah, same here. I'm not. I mean,
like at this point, the only thing I'm excited for is the golden armor in action.
Yeah,
I'm not even looking forward to that. Honestly.
I'm getting a lot of Batman and Robin vibes already.
Yeah,
a lot of this shit's just for toys. I mean, and we saw so much of the promotion already that got out before they could back it off, you know?
Like I have no problems creating things that are just for toys. I mean, that's how we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No problems.
That's a very loose kind of, but yeah, I mean, I'll give you the
Masters.
Yeah, He-Man, that's true, but I mean, no. I'm talking about the toyetic value of Batman and Robin getting in the way of the story.
Oh,
and,
okay. Yeah,
you know, like, I mean, it's one thing if a story is spawned from something like, because Transformers is even probably a better scenario because all those were flat out toys. They put no effort into giving them any kind of story or rhyme or reason with the toys overseas. But once they got here, they're like, guys, we got to do something with this shit because they tried it once and it failed. I don't know if you guys know that, but yeah, they tried Transformers once under a totally different name.
Yeah.
Nobody bought them.
Yeah, I remember that. I do, yeah. Well, it's the same thing with Gundam. Gundam was the same thing in Japan. I think they relaunched it a couple times before it finally caught on. And once it caught on, it caught on, and it rivals Star Wars over there.
Well, the thing with Ninja Turtles is they were a property before the toy, but I'll give you that if it wasn't for the toy, we wouldn't have what we have today from them for sure.
Right?
They'd just be this niche little, indie comic that we talk about here and there.
It probably would have been.
And not only that.
At this point.
Well, and not only that, it was at a time when writers saw the opportunity of making a toy and be like, "Hey, we could actually do something with this character and actually make it fun."
Yeah, it just so happened that Turtles
putting together something random for
Turtles just happen to already have a story attached to it, and all they did was make a
greatest stories ever written.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm just saying, like, all they did was kid it up a little bit, and what's sad is the television show from the '80s is still better than those last two movies we got. It makes more sense and it's a lot better writing.
And those were written by don't writers all the time.
Speaking of toys and Transformers, what a great ad! Transformers story with a Transformers ad. Sorry.
Does he really have a Tyrannosaurus head for his hand?
Dude, yeah, it's Megatron.
Yeah, that's Megatron.
Wow.
That's from Beast Wars, man.
I'm not that far along. Full disclosure, I'm just kind of starting to get into Transformers outside of the movies and my vague memories from a kid. Like, yeah.
Beast Wars was a CG series in the early 2000s.
Late 90s or mid 90s.
Mid 90s. Okay, yeah.
Like I just finally got one for me and Rob, and I've never seen them all. I mean, I remember watching them as a kid, but that's the whole set though.
Oh, the
G1. Yeah.
There you go.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, that is the good stuff. So Beast Wars basically is like a prequel and a sequel to G1.
Okay. Well, I've heard they're all pretty connected. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you watch the first part of the War for Cybertron on Netflix?
I have not got a chance to watch anything, so don't ask me.
So they confirmed that the Beast War characters are going to be showing up in the third part of the trilogy, which is called Earthrise. And that confirmation, I saw there was Fandom Wire was like, it's a leak, and it's literally an official statement from Hasbro. It's not a leak. It's literally
that's a statement.
It's literally Transformers, like an official Transformers Instagram account. Like, look, War for Cybertron trilogy. Oh, it's called Kingdom. Earthrise is the second one. Sorry. Kingdom is the third one, and like it literally has the official logo, and like they showed it on Instagram. Like there's Megatron. He actually transforms into T-Rex here. See.
So cool.
And we're getting a couple of them. We're getting Megatron, and so like instead of the Decepticons, they're called Predacons, and the Autobots are called
the Maximals.
Maximals, yes.
Maximals maximized.
So there she is on their cool background there, and then we're getting Cyclonus, who is actually he's not a Beast Wars character. He is like a herald of Unicron, and he's actually the creation. So there's I guess there's this weird Transformers theory that he was created from either Bombshell or Skywarp or both or neither. Like it's unclear. Yeah, Don is saying Fandom that's Senor. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, so there's Cyclonus. He turns into like the traditional Decepticon fighter, and then here's Optimus Primal. He turns into an ape, so you get that. So these are actually pretty cheap too. I think they look. I mean, they look pretty good. Most of them take at least 20 plus steps to transform. Probably the coolest one is so that's like a really cool pose, I thought. But the coolest one here is Warpath. And so Warpath he's not I think he's a combiner. So he's like one of the bigger ones, but he turns into this tank. And what's really cool is they have these fossilizer characters. And you can actually take the fossilizer characters and combine them with Warpath to give him like extra armaments. So
I like that.
If you buy Paleotrex, who is one of the fossilizers, you can take Paleotrex and like make him look like this on Warpath. To like make him he's like a combiner. So it's pretty cool.
I love it.
Yeah, and you have to buy both to get it though.
It's super goofy, but I love it.
And then here's Paleotrex in the transform mode, and then you got Black Arachnia with her crossbow.
Oh, that's a really good representation of her.
Yeah, and I saw some people on the Instagram, they thought this was a real spider. Like it looks really good.
It looks great. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of these are sold out already on Hasbro's website. So if you haven't already and you want these, like you better go over there and get them.
I can imagine, yeah.
Go there right after the show. Go look for them.
Yeah. There's Cheetor. There he is in this cheetah form. So yeah. So these are the guys that we're getting. Rat Trap is going to be in there. So we know we're getting quite a bit of the Beast Wars characters.
They're really good figures.
Yeah, and they're only like I think the most expensive I saw was like $25.
That's nothing. That's really good.
So you get Vertebrake. He's another Predacon. He's a Raptor. The only one I didn't see, and I don't know if they're just like waiting out, is like that you would think you would see. Probably the most famous Beast Wars character is Dinobot.
Yeah.
They did not release a Dinobot.
I think they just did a Dinobot.
Not Waspinator?
Yeah, but why would they not release a Dinobot as part of this line, though? I don't know.
That's a good question. I actually didn't think about that.
And then they released a new Optimus Prime. He's only like a lot of them are kind of small. So like he's only 3.5 inches. I missed the I didn't is there 11 steps. So, but he's still, I mean, that still looks pretty good. I think
it looks great. Yeah.
Yeah. And he still takes 11 steps to transform, like nice little, addition to your desk or whatever. So then we got a teaser for the second part, which is called Earthrise. And then this is the description with the Allspark on. So if you haven't seen the first one, there's going to be spoilers here. So I won't read it. So you won't be spoiled, but yeah, no, I thought the show was actually really good. It seemed very faithful to like the original G1 story, but it focused more on what was going on Cybertron first before they got to Earth, where I think G1 is more on Earth.
Yeah, it starts on.
If I remember correctly. So it's leading up to the part where they're probably going to be like deployed to Earth. So we'll see what happens. I'm actually really interested in seeing where the story goes. I think the biggest criticism that I had of it was the voice acting. All a lot of them sounded the same. It was hard to differentiate between who was talking. If I didn't have the closed captioning on, it might have been hard to tell. But it definitely got better as it went along. And then the voice actors got better too, because I think they were doing a lot of it. I think they were doing a lot of the voice acting in quarantine, so that might have been an issue.
Wow, yeah.
That they were having. So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed that, and I'm hoping that we get some good stuff. It's probably the only thing I've seen from Rooster Teeth. So, but I think Rooster Teeth probably was just ponying up the money. I don't think they were actually involved in the animation. I think the animation was done by Polygon, which is a studio that Netflix has partnered with quite a bit. I think they've done, what's the other one? What's the one that I just saw it? Oh my gosh. They've done, I think they did Killer Bee, which was really interesting murder mystery with obviously a shonen twist.
Yeah.
And then they also did what is it called? It starts with an A. I can't remember right now. I see Mega Jetty saying goodbye. Thank you for joining us, Mega Jetty. We appreciate it. I think we're about to probably sign off here soon as well.
Oh, they did the Godzilla movies, John.
Yes, they did the Godzilla, the fantastic Godzilla trilogy. If you are a Godzilla fan and you have not watched those, definitely try and get your hands on those. If you're boycotting Netflix, try. I don't know if they have them out on DVD or not, or Blu-ray, but I would definitely try and get it, because those are some of the best Godzilla. Those are really good Godzilla movies, and they put a unique twist on Godzilla as well. I guess in the unique twist with the storytelling, with them having to abandon Earth, and then they decide to return and reclaim it, and then 10,000 years have passed or whatever, and Godzilla's basically remade Earth in his image. So it's really Earth is almost like its own character, and it's hostile to humanity. So it's actually really interesting. So they're fighting not only against Godzilla, the actual monster, but they're fighting against the hostile Earth as well.
So cool. I can go back and finish that. I think I only watched the first two.
Yeah, the first one is them going after, they're going back to Earth, fighting Godzilla, or fighting a spawn of Godzilla, and then the second one you have a Mecha Godzilla twist, and then the third one is Ghidorah as a Ghidorah twist. So it's really good. Mark63366, don't watch. You hated the Japanese voice actor or the dub? Don't watch a dub.
Don't watch dubs.
Watch the subtitled. I think the only dub I will listen to is Dragon Ball.
I was gonna say, for me it's Dragon Ball.
Because I tried to listen to the sub, and I'm not going to lie, I don't like the Goku voice acting.
Sean Shem was kind of a jackass, but I really enjoy his Goku.
I don't like I know the woman has been doing Goku for forever, but he sounds like a little kid.
That's why she does the voice of Gohan and Goten and everybody.
But it's just I'm like, no, man, I just can't take it. I will say I do think the My Hero Academia is pretty good too. Mainly the All Might guy is All
Might guy is great.
The dub is really good with All Might, but I also like the Japanese All Might too. So they did a really good job on both of those. But I watch the subs now for My Hero too. But Don is saying the Ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z is on point.
Dude, that's the old school one.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So always watch the subs for the most part. If you have the only time I'll really watch dub is if I'm doing something else and I'm trying to watch something and I'll put it on. Yeah, I think I'm listening to the dub of Dragon's Dogma. I'm not sure if that's subtitled or not, but I am doing that, and it's okay. I've watched the first two. I guess I should have talked about that in the beginning. I did watch the first 2 episodes so far. It's all right. I don't know. The pacing is really off. each episode is based off of a sin, which is
That's
interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
But it's okay. The animation is a little stiff for my taste. It could be a little bit more fluid. I think I think it's just that studio's animation style.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just me. But yeah, there's some good stuff on Netflix for animation and anime and stuff. I think I gotta look up that other. I think it's like Ajin. I think they do Ajin. Is that it? Ajin?
Asian, like yeah. What the heck?
The demon. It's like AJIN, and it's like Asian demon or something. That's what it is. I think they do that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and then they did Blame. They do a bunch of stuff on that's on Netflix. They did Ghost in the Shell too. So yeah, they're a solid animation studio, and I really do like their work on. I think they're the ones who did Transformers, right?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, all right, cool. So I don't know if it really. I think it works better with Godzilla than Transformers personally. That's just me. All right. Yeah, Mark6336 is saying Seven Deadly Sins is a great series. Yeah, I'm still not caught up. I think I'm on season 2. I'm almost on season 3 because season 2 is like 4 episodes. So, but yeah, I was trying to check out Dragon's Dogma. I don't know. It's okay. Yeah, Don is Ajin. He got it for me too. All right, I'm just kind of rambling now, so I think we're gonna wind it up here. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. So we're gonna go around the horn. We'll start with Spencer.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us so much. Every Wednesday is a delight because I get to hang out with these lovely gentlemen and you folks in the chat. You can find me on Twitter at Kabuto Writer Mav, as you see down below my little avatar, and find me daily on Bounding into Comics. We've got lots of great stuff coming up. We have some manga reviews coming up, a really cool One Piece article coming up, and of course, the best and latest news from across our favorite hobbies.
Yeah, and we just got your episode 8 of Lower Decks up on the channel. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. And then we also got your late. We're a little bit behind, but we got I think it's 10.
11 just went up.
12. No, 11. Yeah, so we got God of High School episode 11 is up on the channel, and we'll have 12 and 13 up later this week.
But yeah, that's it for me. And check out everybody else's stuff on the channel. It's all great. Or I mean, on the panel rather, and our channel. Yes, our channel too.
So I think Script Doctor, you're still doing Lower Decks reviews as well.
Yeah, I just dropped my episode 8 review yesterday, and in a few hours, if I'm still awake, I don't know, I'll probably be watching the 9th episode and starting up that review. So look forward to that on my channel. Yes, I have a little bit of the sporking news on my internet today, so I'm a little delayed. I apologize.
And you're working on that, on getting your Captain Marvel on there?
Captain Marvel.
And I think are you still doing Discovery stuff too?
Oh, my backlog for videos is crazy. Yeah, I got the Discovery stuff planned out right after Lower Decks. That's going to be kind of crazy. I don't know how I'm going to get all this stuff worked in. But it comes when it comes, basically, folks. I'm sorry. I have a real job. Plus, I'm also pitching stories online like every night now when I get home from work. So I'm kind of busy with that as well. So I get to them when I can get to them.
And you know what? Every time we get them, there's some of the best pieces of content out there. So it's worth the wait.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
Thank you so much.
If you haven't, check out his Mandalorian reviews. They're really good as well.
Those are really good.
All right, Tom.
Yeah, you can find me at Midnight's Edge After Dark, and hanging out all kinds of different places. That's about it.
What do you guys got in the works at Midnight's Edge?
We're gonna do a live stream tomorrow, I think, and we're gonna drop a bunch of Star Trek stuff, or at least some stuff we've come across. I don't know if Script Doctor is gonna be able to join us because I think he works, but yeah, we're gonna be talking about that for sure, and then working on a Conan video and a few other things.
Yeah, we didn't get to that. There's a Conan Netflix
Nice.
series happening, I think.
Yep.
It's
Live
all
action?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's live action. I can't even imagine what's going to happen in that.
Yeah.
Like, especially in today's Hollywood.
that's-
Oh, I hope it's the old Amazon scripts. That'd be awesome.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. I will be trying to do some more videos as well. I know I say that almost every time and not living up to it, but I'm working on a Hawkman video. So we're going to do some like comic book origins, and I think I'm going to start with Hawkman because I've already done a lot of research on that. So look forward to that. So, and I think we're going to be doing some more of some comic book origin stuff like that as well. I think Spencer is going to be working on maybe some more anime stuff on that end as well. So we're going to be doing some character histories, character origins. So that should be fun. So look forward to that. Maybe we might even do. I guess you guys are doing the Conan one, but we might be doing some more stuff like that too. So look forward to that. So thank you all. We will see you next Wednesday. We do this every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Oh, and Spencer and I will also be reviewing Noblesse, which is coming out on Crunchyroll as well, which is next week, I think. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing a live stream reaction reviews right afterwards, after we watch. So look for that. So again, we'll be doing this again here Wednesday at 9 p.m. And I will also be appearing on Friday Night Tights on October 16th. So look forward to that on Gary's channel as well. So that's always a fun time. So thank you all and hope you all have a great night and great week. And we will see you next week.
Take it easy.